One thing you don't get third live. When you get third live, you're not following instructions. So what's the point then? Yes, Prerit, Jyotsna, Rohita, Gurpreet, Nukul, and Andani. No updates. You should give it to me in real time, right? Nobody is updating. Quickly revise, quickly read a few extra definitions, and tell me if you have any questions. I want you to talk in the first 5-10 minutes. You cannot be quiet and you cannot be quiet. Do you understand what that means? I want you all to do at least 10% of the task before I'll start with the session right now. This is not acceptable. At least from your end. पढ़ा रहे हैं तो पूरा करो ना काम. And nobody's replying also right now. Only Jyotsna has messaged, and I think Gurpreet has messaged something. Talk to me, students. If you're not feeling well, message. कौन से लेटर तक क्या है गुरप्रीत? इंस्ट्रक्शंस क्या दिए थे आपको?
Sir, instructions, the introduction and some definitions, compliance.
I told you all to take up 7 to 9 letters at a time. कौन से letters लिया आपने? A, B, C, D?
Sir, I have read few definitions.
Letters की बात करो. कौन से letter तक पहुंचे थे? A पे ही हो ना अभी?
Yes, sir. I'm at A.
So say that. These are simple instructions. Keep me in the loop, students. You understand the aggression that I have right now? It is there for a reason and it comes naturally.
And sir, I have also read applicability of rules of the air.
letters लिया आपने? I don't know why it's flashing. Some issue again with the Zoom. But what's the issue? Do you not have your systems working? You're not doing the tasks? टाइम नहीं मिल रहा है. आधा घंटा नहीं निकाल पा रहे हो रीडिंग के लिए. इतना पढ़ाई करते हो, इतनी मेहनत करते हो. What's the point? What if next time I will give you to read something that we are going to learn today? Then what will you do then? You'll come sit here like this. Sir is nice, sir doesn't ask questions. Not done, okay? And I want questions. Is there anybody going to talk?
Sir, I had a doubt. So how do you read?
Suchita, I have told everyone, ask your doubts. If you have, simply ask. Why do you need extra permission? Students, what's happening? Is this your first class?
So actually my microphone is not working, so I was not
No,
sure.
not
if
about you,
can-
Suchita. You are being proactive. It's not about you. It's about everyone. Don't take it personally. You're
Oh,
talking, everything is working. It is not referred to you. You're trying to do it. You reported also. You were doing also. You will have doubts. I know that. So you don't worry about it. What about everyone else? Okay, somebody had a ceremony. I'm knowing now. Fine. You could have informed me, right, in real time. If these 20 days you can stay in touch with me regularly, we'll get done with your regulations, man. Don't you want that? Navigation, we're almost there. RT, you are almost there. Do you understand what I'm trying to talk about? Not getting updates. I'm here waiting now, leaving everything in my life aside because I know, because I've been away, things are pending. I hate that word. It's okay. I'm not angry. It's about the briefing before you start a session. When you will join a work life, you'll realize there will be briefings before work, after work, meetings. And this is what happens there. Not good, okay? Sushila, please go ahead with it out. And please, students, you don't have to ask if you can ask you. Raise your hand and go ahead with your question. Make it quick. Pehla, dusra lecture, the base of regulations. We have invested so much to build fundamentals. Now be quick. And without acknowledgements, regulations cannot be studied. Remember, I need your acknowledgement. Otherwise, you can go to any school. You understand? They'll teach you. Sit and teach. 20 days they can finish regulations. Or 3 months or 2 months. Those are the 3 areas people teach regulations. What have we been doing with regulations? So much we have studied. I want a thorough briefing of all that we have studied with respect to rules of the air, the sources, the origin, the applicability, and I want to know the important rules. In the sources only it will be there, and then I want to know at least 3 definitions. Everybody has to speak before we get started. And I'll give you just 1 minute to say everything. Let's see how many points you cover. Sushita, please go ahead with your doubt.
So, in RT part 1, we have these questions like while taxiing lost. So, sir, in real time, we request for follow me. So these vehicles, do they have ADS-B in them, like the aircraft and the ground vehicles?
They can, they cannot. It depends. Mostly ground vehicles might not have it. If certain ground vehicles are important with respect to safety and people need to track them automatically, then they might be fitted with that. But not necessary. They have ground radars on every airport. Okay, there are ground radars also on which, based upon the radar, ground movement of the aircraft on that particular aerodrome is tracked. So follow me's are fitted with, all your ground vehicles are fitted with those ground radars instead of ADS-B. But then ADS-B doesn't hurt to be fitted if it is affordable and economical for the aerodrome or the facilitation company providing those facilities, so that everybody in the world can automatically get the information. So probably yes, probably no, 50-50. It depends upon the situation, which aerodrome, which follow me, check for yourself if ADS-B is there or not. You'll get to know. Probably all ground vehicles also have ADS-B, or none of the vehicles have ADS-B, but they have ground radar. So one or the two will be the ground radar is old, ADS-B will be new. Combination of two is always there. Remember, students, ADS-B is interesting. Don't be surprised, and it's easy. What is ADS-B? An aircraft will automatically transmit its position and other information. Anybody who has the ADS-B system can, by default, without request, get that information, provided they have ADS-C, the contract. So ADS-B broadcast, it means it's just like ATIS frequency, ATIS, just like an FM radio frequency. You can just transmit on one frequency. You cannot talk back. So aircrafts fitted with that system, ADS-B, broadcast, automatic dependent surveillance. Automatic, people can do your surveillance. That is the meaning. Think.
Understood, sir.
Are you ready? Ready with the task that you have at hand? See, if you have not done it, you can report you have not done it, right? Regulations, don't take it easy, students. It depends upon whether you're doing what you're asked to do or not. I don't like making you spend more time in class on a same day. Otherwise, I'll make you do that with me. What do I have to do? I'll just have to observe you all in the session. I can do it while doing other work also. But then I like to set you all free because I believe in freedom. But then even all the free of all minds, they say that discipline is the key to growth and success. So freedom and discipline somewhere are paradox of each other. They're opposite. They contradict each other. When we can determine the similarities between freedom and discipline, you will realize that you will evolve as to be one of the most highly regarded humans in the world. Like you'll reach somewhere big. These are all secrets to success we all need as we grow ahead in our life, in our careers. So if aviation is our career, then it needs to have freedom to make your own decisions, and it also needs discipline to stick to a responsible schedule. But the freedom comes with respect to your licenses, your knowledge, your decisions that you can make in the industry. You choose your airline, you choose your roles, and you choose your growth pattern. That's the freedom. If you don't choose all that, then you'll be stuck in a job working for someone else, not for the money that you need, but maybe less. Half of the people, not 80% of the employees everywhere are these people who are having a job, but they're not fully satisfied. You think getting a job will solve your problems? It will not, because then you'll want more. And the more only is given to a few. Think about it. Something to think about. And think about it and do what you're asked to do. I'll start with Gurpreet, then Prerit, then Nukul, then Nandini, Rohita, and then Jyotsna. 1 minute each. I'll be starting in couple of minutes. I've asked to revise. I've asked you all to revise. Right now, you'll give me a brief of everything done so far with rules of the air with respect to applicability, origins, 3 definitions, general rules. If you can explain, that would be great. And feel free to ask questions. Enjoy the process, students. Regulations can be interesting. We are making it interesting. Rules of the air you'll love. You don't need to worry about it. Gone are the days when you'll worry about regulation. Remember, I say it from first lecture. Don't forget. Students who have not attended those first lectures, talk to me. I'll ask you to go through it again. Who can tell me if airship is defined as an aircraft or if airship is defined as an aeroplane? Prerit.
Sir, it is defined as a aircraft because it is not heavier than the air as aeroplanes are.
Okay. Good. I can allow. That answer makes sense. Well explained. Aeroplanes are heavier than air, power-driven aircrafts, while airship, although an aircraft, is not an aeroplane. Airship will be power-driven though. It might not be heavier than air. Good. So that is the exact meaning. You are halfway there, Prerit. Excellent growth in just one session in the ability to give answers. Well done. Please work on the task given. Next question. What do you mean by aerodrome zone? Sorry. Aerodrome traffic zone. I think I'm right. Aerodrome traffic zone. Nukul.
So it's a dimension around the aerodrome.
इनकम्प्लीट आंसर. नुकुल सोच के आंसर देना है. खुद तो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी लो. मैं आंसर इनकम्प्लीट ले रहा हूँ कि पूरा ले रहा हूँ? क्या हो गया ये कोई मीनिंग है इसका? क्या मीनिंग निकालू इसका, बताओ. मैं बस आपको पार्ट 2 के लिए तरीका सिखाया ना कैसे आंसर देना, वैसे ही आंसर देना. 3 वर्ड्स बोल दिया. 3 वर्ड्स का कोई मीनिंग है? पूरा मीनिंग नहीं है.
So it's space around the aerodrome, which is established around the aerodrome for the protection of the aerodrome traffic.
फिर भी एक पॉइंट मिसिंग है. यस ज्योत्सना.
Sir, it is an airspace of the defined dimensions around the aerodrome for the protection of the aerodrome traffic.
For the protection of the aerodrome traffic, it's a what? It's an airspace of fixed
Airspace
dimension.
fixed dimensions
Airspace of fixed dimensions around the aerodrome.
around the aerodrome.
Nukul, why are you missing these keywords? Nukul, trying to frame it in your own words and skipping keywords. Issue. It's an airspace of fixed dimensions around the aerodrome reserved for the protection of aerodrome traffic. Is that making sense with the definition that we have, Nukul?
Affirm, sir.
So what were you saying? Try to explain quickly.
So it's a airspace around the aerodrome. So give me some time.
टाइम क्यों लग रहा है भाई साहब? टाइम किस चीज में लग रहा है? सामने डेफिनेशन है, टेक्स्ट बुक आपको दी है, 2 लाइन का डेफिनेशन है, टाइम क्यों लग रहा है? टॉक टू मी क्विकली. कहाँ कंफ्यूजन है आपको? आप बोल सकते हो सर मैं रेडी नहीं हूँ, सिस्टम पे बैठा नहीं हूँ, मेरे पास बुक्स नहीं है, टाइम लग रहा है. इश्यू क्या है? जल्दी नुकुल, टॉक टू मी राइट नाउ. स्टूडेंट्स, व्हाई यू आर नॉट टॉकिंग टू मी? इतना डीले मत दो रिस्पॉन्स पे यार.
एक्चुअली मैं अभी देख रहा हूँ डेफिनेशंस.
तो कल क्या कर रहे थे?
सर मेरा बैकलॉग्स थे नेविगेशन के, तो वो सारे क्लियर कर रहा
कल
है.
मैंने क्लास में डेफिनेशन डिस्कस किया था, तब क्या कर रहे थे?
सर तब
नोट्स में भी है, सब है. लाइक लिखना चाहिए. मैंने नोट्स में मैंने व्हाइट बोर्ड पे चलो सारे डेफिनेशंस नहीं लिखे हैं, एक आध डायग्राम बनाया होगा बस. कल बनाया था. मैं तो मेमोरी से पूछ रहा हूँ आपको, मेरे सामने तो कोई रेफरेंस भी नहीं है. आप लोग को मेमोरी नहीं है कल क्या पढ़ा था? आप समझ रहे हो रिवीजन का क्या इश्यू हो रहा है? Do you understand how difficult it will be for you to remember everything in regulations if you don't do what I say and you still go and give the exam? Or if you don't revise regularly? I'm not complaining. I know you are all doing good. But जो जब बोला है तब करो चुपचाप. नहीं हो रहा है मुझसे बात करो. I'll give you some other ways. But if you don't communicate, I assume that you are studying. नुकुल, क्या है एरोड्रोम ट्रैफिक जोन? है बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट डेफिनेशन है, दुनिया में बहुत कम लोगों को इसका आंसर पता होगा, इसलिए मैं इन सब चीजों पे एम्फेसाइज कर रहा हूँ. एयर स्पेस है, एरोड्रोम के आसपास है, डिफाइंड एरिया है. वो एयर स्पेस इसलिए रखा है ताकि एरोड्रोम ट्रैफिक को हम सेफ्टी दे सके. एक बफर एरिया रखा है, नहीं तो एरोड्रोम ट्रैफिक हमेशा एरोड्रोम के ऊपर ही घूमता रहेगा. दैट वुड मेक द एयर स्पेस मोर कंजेस्टेड. So there is a fixed zone reserved for aerodrome traffic. तो आपका जो भी टावर एरिया है ना, जनरली यू कैन कंसिडर दैट मिनिमम दैट एरिया कैन बी अंडर द एरोड्रोम ट्रैफिक जोन. कभी सोचो थोड़ा यार, कनेक्ट द डॉट्स. Probably, maybe air spaces will overlap. It's an air space. Air space. कितना मुश्किल है वो एक कीवर्ड को पॉइंट में रखना. एयर स्पेस. It's all about keywords, students. Regulations or whatever, it's all about keywords. If regulations you are not focusing on keywords, आपको 3 साल लग जाएंगे पूरा regulations पढ़ने में. फुल टाइम कोर्स होना चाहिए, ये 6 सेमेस्टर वाला. समझ रहे हो आप? इतना है regulations. पूरे sections की बात कर रहा हूं मैं. You hardly have to do small parts of a few sections. उसमें भी आप लोग देख रहे हो इतना ज्यादा नहीं है. कीवर्ड सारे निकाल लोगे ना तो इतनी पतली सी बुकलेट बनेगी. Keywords निकाल लोगे तो. But this is not how law is written. Law is very descriptive. So descriptive that every word is accurately as per the grammar that we have not taught. We have not been taught that grammar in our English schools, in Indian education system. Average majority is what I'm trying to say. This is the only reason why you don't understand that language. Because they are using top level English, because law requires that English so that there is no room for misunderstanding. The written word. जाओ वापस, कितना टाइम लगता है इंग्लिश सीखने में? 10 साल, 12 साल, फिर भी हमारी इंग्लिश सही नहीं है, मेरी तो नहीं है। तो तुम लोग को जब शॉर्टकट बोल रहा हो तो शॉर्टकट पे फोकस करो ना। आई एम ट्रेनिंग योर माइंड, वॉकिंग विथ मी, so do it, students. I'm not saying you're not doing it, but you're not doing it effectively. अभी इतने दिन से ऑटो मोड में हो ना, वो अच्छी बात है, बट यहाँ पे ये आ रहा है ना, तो 15-20 मिनट, आधे 1 घंटे का कोचिंग मोड पे भी ले लो आप लोग प्लीज। एंड बुरा नहीं मानना, यू हैव टू गेट इट डन। नेक्स्ट सेशन टुमारो सेम टाइम, फर्स्ट 15 minutes आई वांट यू ऑल टू फाइट इन क्यू टू स्पीक योर डाउट्स एंड आंसर्स, कि पहले कौन पहले कौन पहले कौन। फिर शुड बी टेलिंग गुरप्रीत पहले मैं पूछूंगा, गुरप्रीत बोलेगा नहीं पहले मेरा पूछते हैं, सबको फायदा होगा। रोहिता विल बी लाइक नो, आई एम ऑलरेडी डन विथ माय डाउट्स, रात को मैंने भेज दिए थे, पहले मेरे डिस्कस होने चाहिए। देयर शुड बी अ रश राइट नाउ कि किसका नॉलेज दिमाग में सबसे ज्यादा बैठ रहा है। समझा तो मैं दूंगा, आपके दिमाग में रहेगा नहीं तो क्या फायदा। आई वॉन्ट योर एक्सपेक्टेशंस टू बी क्लियर एज वी गो अहेड, ओके? अदरवाइज मेरा प्रवचन चलता रहेगा और तुम्हारे दिमाग में कुछ आएगा नहीं। सिर्फ कुछ बच्चे हैं जो फायदा उठाएंगे लेक्चर्स का, उनको ही फायदा होगा, सबको फायदा नहीं होगा। So remember this going ahead. Let's start. Prerit, I want a brief revision. 1 minute each, every one.
So it's a airspace around the aerodrome for the protection or aerodrome traffic.
Is there a keyword, define dimensions? And प्रेरित तुमसे बात कर रहा हूं।
Yes, sir.
अब नहीं, यस सर, रहने दो।
Sir,
गुरप्रीत, यू आर नेक्स्ट।
It's an airspace of defined dimension established around an aerodrome for the protection of
गुरप्रीत रहने दो,
aerodrome traffic.
रहने दो, रहने दो, रहने दो। नुकुल तुमने भी ट्राई कर लिया। रोहिता, यू आर नेक्स्ट।
Sir, it's an airspace of defined dimensions established around an aerodrome for the protection of aerodrome traffic.
It's okay, Rohita. Good try, but that is not the question. Everybody forgot the first question. Nandini, are you able to talk with respect to your health? If yes, then 1 minute. What was the task given to you all right now that you have to do in 1 minute is what I'm asking. If you can answer, great. If no, just text.
I'll answer, sir. So rules of air is basically found in Annex 2 of iCATS, Article 12 and Section 9 of CAR. And yesterday we studied about
Say again the first sentence.
Okay, so the rules of air is found in Annex 2, Section 9 of CAR and Article 12.
Article 12 of what?
iCATS.
Wrong. It's okay. Continue with the answer.
Okay, so applicability of rules of air is
Correct.
divided in
It's not Article 12 of iCATS. Continue with the answer, correcting it from here. I'm helping you as we go with the answer. Yes. If
Okay,
not
with
iCATS, then
yeah, Article 12 of Convention International of Civil Aviation.
what is this convention? Nandini, go back to your first few lectures. It is important you are clear about this. Otherwise, we'll lose 4 marks. That is 2 questions. We don't want that. Yes. Convention on International Civil Aviation. Correct, students? That is not iCATS. If so far you thought that was iCATS, you are still not reading or studying regs the way I want you to. It's a good reality check before we go ahead. मजाक नहीं कर रहा हूं मैं, तुम्हारे फायदे की बात कर रहा हूँ स्टूडेंट्स. It's the Chicago Convention. Do you know anything about Chicago Convention? If you don't know, then you don't. Then people will say you don't deserve to be here because you don't know the foundation. You want anybody to criticize you like that? You think those are not important conventions? If you think it is like that, I'll take a quick 20-minute session and do that again once for you. Let me know. But I'll say why. But the session is right there for you to study again and revise. Conventions are important part of your syllabus. Your syllabus starts with conventions. Today, if you all want syllabus, remind me, I'll share you. But I don't want to share. I'll share the syllabus, you'll get scared. So I'm waiting for us to cover a few topics before I share that with you. But I don't mind. These are silly errors. First sentence में एक error हो रहा है. So we need to be watchful how we go ahead. But I don't mind errors. This is practice. Good effort in trying, Nandini. Jyotsna, अभी रिवीजन कराया था तो शायद अभी आंसर दे पाओगे. Please try.
Sir, yesterday we had learned the rules of air, for which the sources of rules of the air is the section 9, that is the airspace and air navigation services standards. The origin is from the Article 12 of the Convention of International Civil Aviation, Chicago. Annex 2 is the rules of air standards. In this rule 16 of aircraft 1937.
Jyotsna, रुको. आंसर अच्छा दे रहे हो बट इतना फास्ट दे रहे हो ना, आपको उसका इफेक्टिवनेस पूरा जा रहा. अभी यही चीज है ना, इंग्लिश ऑफ कोर्स. सेम चीज ऐसे बोलो जैसे आप अपने फ्रेंड के साथ बोल रहे हो और ओवर कॉफी और टी, फुर्सत में. सेम चीज, एज इफ यू आर एक्सप्लेनिंग समवन टू हेल्प देम. हमें अच्छा लगता है ना, कोई एडवाइस लेता है, हम अच्छे से बैठ के बताते हैं उनको. लाइक दैट यू टॉक अबाउट दिस. कैरी ऑन.
So, sir, for the rules of air, we get the rules of air from Annex 2, Article 12 and Section 9. The main source of the rules of air comes from the Section 9, that is the airspace and air navigation service standards, which further consist of the rules of the air plus the ATS requirements rules also. Then for this the origin was from the Article 12, which comes from the Convention of International Civil Aviation, Chicago. There are three types of rules. First is general, second is IFR, and third is VFR. In Annex 2, the rules of air comes from the Rule 16 of Aircraft 1937, which consists. Rule 16 defines that every person shall comply with the rules of air issued by the DG in accordance with the Annex 2 for the convention of the convention for the persons.
Fine, Jyotsna, thank you. Almost 1 minute done. Good effort. Lot of content, correct content is there. Good ability to say answer also. Although for eggs you don't have to give viva, but I want to see your understanding. With the way you said, you get it from this. Three things: Article 12, Annex 2, and CR Section 9. Article 12 of what? वो वहीं mention करना. Annex 2 of what? वो भी वहीं mention करना. Section 9 of what? वो भी वहीं mention करना. Article 12 of the Convention on International Civil Aviation. Annex 2 of the iCAO, International Civil Aviation Organization. They are two different things. Two different things. iCAO has annexes and docs. Convention had articles. Acts have article. CR Section 9. CAR Section 9. CAR is very, very important. Civil Aviation Requirements. what ICAO calls as annexures, what Chicago Convention called articles, in India we call it CAR, Civil Aviation Requirement. Civil Aviation Requirement. It is very important to use this keyword. But aviation ground studies, CPL ground studies, I have seen people just take a very different approach for regulations. But engineering regulations, I've seen that if we have good instructors, then they teach you by the book. It's civil aviation requirements, 11 sections. That is the Bhagavad Gita. That is the Quran. That is the Bible or any other granth you take for any religion. CAR is that for you in commercial aviation. It is that important for you. Whether you knew it or not, now you know what the website, the sections, that as important as the annexures, more important than the annexures, because in India you have to follow CAR, not the annexures, because the CR is made and approved by ICAO based on the annexures through DGCA, the Directorate General. The Director General issues rules of the air that has to be followed by all personnel, and these rules are based on Annexure 2. Nobody is saying this statement. The most important statement, who is the author of this booklet? Who is the creator? Imagine the plight that person would have gone through, Mr. Arun Kumar. He signed it, the documents that we are referring right now, the last revision. Imagine the responsibility on his shoulders as a person, as an individual, as an employee of the government, or as the Directorate General. He has to ensure we have adopted all the rules because we are a contracting state. But thanks to all the people before him, most of the rules were already met. Maybe a few revisions were needed. He is the final authority. If he made even one mistake, ICAO will not approve it. So he might have made that. Then we would have got final approval. And then the regulations were published as a draft, 30 days. AIP, AIS, rules of the air are issued by 133A as well as 16 rule numbers. That is something that you should come up with first. Then these rules specify that all professionals should comply with these rules. That's it. Now, what are the rules to comply with? General, VFR, IFR. General applicable to both VFR, IFR. Now, VFR, IFR specific to visibility requirements. VFR, we saw there are 3 slots of VFR flights, 10,000 feet above, 10,000 to 3,000 feet, 3,000 to 1,000 feet. Max visibility above 10,000, 8 kilometers horizontal, 1,500 meters vertical cloud, horizontal cloud, 300 meters vertical cloud. मेरे को कैसे याद है सब कुछ, आप लोग को नहीं है याद. But then the CAR DGCA is not the origin. The origin is from Annex 2. Annex 2 was adopted after Article 12. All from Article 12 from the Convention, Annex 2 from the ICAO. Then CR Section 9. And the appendices, whatever we have attachments. Applicability, nobody's talking about. कितने अच्छे से हमने applicability पढ़ा. Applicable to all aviation stakeholders in the country. Then applicability के कितने अलग sections हमने देखे. Responsibility of PIC, authority of PIC. Problematic use of psychoactive substances. What are the 2 other things? And then we spoke about general rules. So many subsections in general rules. We did 1. Protection of people and property outside. Reckless operation should be avoided. First point. If you don't have a mental flowchart of previous class in this class for the same topic, then we are not following the proper technique. अभी से समझ लो और अभी से फॉलो करो. क्या मुश्किल है ऐसे पढ़ाई करना? कैसे तो पढ़ाई कर रहे हो ना आप लोग? कैसे तो पढ़ रहे हो ना? पढ़ाई कर रहे हो ना? कैसे तो करते हो ना पढ़ाई अपने हिसाब से. अब वो छोड़ दो. रेक्स के लिए जैसे मैं बता रहा हूँ वैसे करके देखो. ट्राई तो करो. टाइम उतना ही दे रहे हो. शायद मैं जो बता रहा हूँ उसमें कम टाइम लगेगा आपको, बिकॉज मैं अच्छे से आपको 1 घंटे की चीज 3 घंटे में पढ़ा रहा हूँ मैं आपको. क्योंकि जरूरत है। जो बाहर 1 घंटे में पढ़ा रहा है उसकी बात करो, जो 3 घंटे लगते हैं, लगना चाहिए ताकि आपको सिर्फ रिवाइज करना पड़े। अभी भी माइंडसेट नहीं रखोगे ना स्टूडेंट्स, तो फायदा नहीं उठा पाओगे, बिकॉज मैं तो बहुत अच्छा माइंडसेट लेके चल रहा हूँ। पुश योर सेल्फ। I know you're pushing, now push in the direction I want you to push yourself. Tell me what's on your mind, everyone. One by one. What's on your mind? Are you following, not following?
Sir, I'm following, and please tell me once again how to remember the important information in these Delphi documents, and what is the best strategy to revise it.
मैं इतने दिन से जो भी बोल रहा हूँ, कल परसों तरसों आज, वही है कि मैं घुमा फिरा के तो नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, मैं एक ही चीज अलग अलग तरीके से बोल रहा हूँ। अब तक क्यों नहीं सुन रहे थे? माई क्वेश्चन इज, अब तक इग्नोर क्यों कर रहे हो?
No, sir, I'm not ignoring. I tried to read it, but didn't understand properly, and I think the thing is advanced vocabulary of English language, and I'm not following the proper
तो जब
strategy.
मैं वही तो बोल रहा हूँ भाई साहब गुरप्रीत, मैं उसी चीज की टेक्निक देता रहता हूँ क्लास में। मैं तो दोबारा रिपीट करने ही वाला हूँ, बीच बीच में लेक्चर में 15-15 मिनट में उसी चीज पे बात करते रहता हूँ। अब तक समझ नहीं आया आपको तो बात ठीक है, बट क्यों नहीं समझ आया मेरा पॉइंट वो है, क्योंकि मैं तो हिंदी भी यूज कर रहा हूँ, इंग्लिश भी यूज कर रहा हूँ। सर एक और बार बता दो, ठीक है मैं तो बता दूंगा, बट वही बात 10 बार बोल चुका हूँ, आप लोग को तब नहीं समझ आ रही है, तो अब कैसे समझ आएगी? आई हैव टू चेंज माई मेथड प्रोबेबली, बिकॉज आई ऑलवेज फाइंड माई मिस्टेक इन थिंग्स फर्स्ट बिफोर सीइंग अदर पर्सन्स मिस्टेक। अब कुछ नया नहीं है बताने के लिए।
सॉरी सर, एक्चुअली मैंने आपका जो मेथड है ना अच्छी तरह से अप्लाई नहीं किया है, शायद इसलिए नहीं समझ आ रहा या प्रोग्रेस नहीं हो रहा। आई ट्राई।
मेरा मेथड प्रोग्रेस नहीं हो रहा है, 3-4 लेक्चर में आप बोल रहे हो, बट यू आर सेइंग यू विल ट्राई, आई लाइक दैट। टाइम लगेगा।
सर मैंने अच्छी तरह से फॉलो भी नहीं किया, मैं ये मानता हूँ।
नहीं,
ये
आप
गलती।
थोड़ा भी विल रखोगे ना, बहुत बड़ी बात है। बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है सुन के मुझे, अच्छा लग रहा है कि आप बोले सर मैं ट्राई कर रहा हूँ, हो नहीं रहा है, बट आई एम ट्राइंग। पुश योरसेल्फ स्टूडेंट्स। मुश्किल है ये चीज अचीव करना। आपको मैं एक चीज और बता देता हूँ बिफोर वी स्टार्ट विद जनरल रूल्स और वीएफआर राइट नाउ। इट इज नॉट इजी टू चेंज अ पर्सन्स हैबिट। तो तुम्हारा स्टडी हैबिट और कुछ भी, बट इट इज easy to listen to someone and do when that person is your trainer. And don't ever forget that I'm a trainer and you're paying me in time, in money, right, in trust. So you have to listen to me, make it easy for you. और जब नहीं समझ आ रहे, जैसे गुरप्रीत पूछा सर आपने अभी ऑनेस्टली बोले सर, आपने जो जो बोला सुना बट मेरे को समझ नहीं आया। अब मेरे को पता है गुरप्रीत को कैसे समझाना है। तो इतना तो आना चाहिए ना अपने पास। फिर आप फॉलो कर रहे हो नहीं कर रहे हो, काम आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है, यू विल टेल मी आफ्टर यू हैव ट्राइड। दैट आई एम फाइन विथ। You being quiet and not updating is a problem because you're not doing anything. Now, अभी आप लोग जो भी होना रहेगा में, now for me you are the front runners, so I'm pushing you with respect to that. Don't take it otherwise, thinking I'm speaking to a class that has disappointed me. No, I'm speaking to someone who's at par with the top performance levels. तो उनको उस हिसाब से ट्रेन होना होता है. Just think about any superstar in movies or anywhere else. The higher the star, the more is the hard work behind it, more is the investment behind it, more is the discipline. Also, an example, you all might also have friends. I have friends. In all industries, we have friends. The biggest of stars, they are abused verbally by the producers and directors, whoever is investing money. till the time they don't get what they need. There's no respect in front of them for the richest of the stars in the whole world, because that's the role they play. If he or she doesn't listen to the person who's directing or producing, then he or she is not doing the right job. They also go through crisis, even after having billions and millions, when it comes to performance. And think about those people who are kings 30, 40 years and still they are not succeeding. What would they go through? The burden of expectation. So it's not easy, but I need to see effort in the right direction. When I'm asking you a question, give me response in 5 seconds. When I'm asking you to do a task, do the task. I told you, read it once. Whatever you don't understand, share with me. Nobody did that. गुरप्रीत नहीं समझ आया तो भेजना तो चाहिए था. ठीक है. What's on your mind? सिर्फ गुरप्रीत बोल रहा है. प्रेरित, रोहिता, नंदिनी, नुकुल, सुचिता, ज्योत्सना, what's on your mind? Share. दोबारा मत करना ये चीज प्लीज. हाँ, अरे टॉक टू मी. इतना टाइम इन्वेस्ट किया है, कुछ तो बोलो. व्हाट आर यू थिंकिंग राइट नाउ? चलो यार,
Sir,
लेट्स
I'm
स्टार्टेड. या
I'm following, and this will not be repeated again.
आई एम नॉट स्कोल्डिंग एनीवन. आई एम ट्रीटिंग यू ऑल एज इक्वल्स एंड आस्किंग व्हाट्स ऑन योर माइंड. गुड, वोंट रिपीट. बट आपने कोई मिस्टेक नहीं किया है, मैं बोलूंगा फिर. यू हैव नॉट मेड अ मिस्टेक. Suchita, do you have any more doubts?
Negative, sir.
Suchita, give me a brief, 1 minute brief. You're the last person.
Perform, sir. So the origin for rules of the air is from Article 12, which is the Convention on International Civil Aviation. After that, this was adopted, and the annexure 2 was made, which is also for rules of the air.
So, Suchita, you're going very well. Okay, I can see you've got the pattern. For you now, I'll give you one more area of improvement here. Okay, just remember, use this. It will be very useful to you for the rest of your life. Just think and understand. You can work on it in your own way. So you are answering me about a brief that I asked you to give on what you have studied so far in rules of the air. And I've given you the pointers. The pointers should be origin, applicability, couple of definitions, and maybe some rules. So how would you start? Now see here. Now, although I asked you the question, so I know the question, you can directly jump and give me the answer. When you are giving the answer, explain what you're talking about first and then the origin. That's all you have to do. And you know what you're talking about. So you'll say all professionals in aviation have to comply with rules of the air as published by the regulatory authority, as and wherever, the state as well as the international. In India, the rules of the air are mentioned in CAR, Civil Aviation Requirements, Section 9. Now, this document, which we all have to comply, these rules are issued in India by the Director General as per Annexure 2 of ICAO and Rule 16 of Indian Aircraft Rules 1937 and Rule 133A as well. But that is not the main origin. As we know, the rules are made as per Annex 2 of ICAO. Annex 2 of ICAO was adopted based upon Article 12, Rules of the Air, of the Chicago Convention. So that's the origin. In the convention, rules of the air were formulated in Article 12. Later on, ICAO Annexure 2 based rules of the air were adopted by the convention for all the member states to follow. So applicability can be discussed there also then, student. Territorial, high seas, when aircraft registered in India and aircraft registered in India flying over India and aircraft registered in India flying anywhere else. The compliance has to be given to the state regulatory authority, but guidance can be given to the controllers in that area. The rules can be made by the state. Annex has given us the authority. ICAO has given us the authority. Annex 2, but they should be as same as close to the original as possible. See students, again the same thing in a different way. अब मैं ये चीज 10 बार 10 अलग अलग क्लास में भी बोल दूं ना, सबको सेम कॉन्सेप्ट उतने अच्छे तरीके से याद होने वाला है, बट उसी बच्चे को पूरा पूरा याद रहेगा बिना किसी मेंटल एफर्ट के, जिसने ये फ्लो चार्ट अपने दिमाग में बना लिया अपने वर्ड्स में. मैंने कितने अलग अलग तरीके से एक ही चीज एक्सप्लेन की है, बट एक भी चीज मुश्किल थी क्या समझने के लिए? तो तुम भी वो तरीका निकालो, तुम्हारे बेनिफिट के लिए मैं बोल रहा हूँ. Regulations is a piece of cake like that. The easier subject of all, I would tell you. Only if you understand this. तो सुचिता, यहाँ पे आपको बस इतना ही करना था कि रूल्स ऑफ द एयर हमें सबको फॉलो करने हैं, उसके बिना वी कैन नॉट फ्लाई. देयर आर 3 rules to comply with: जनरल, VFR, IFR, and these rules are issued by DGCA. Rule 16, Annex 2, 133A. These rules are found in CR Section 9, based on Annex 2, based on Article 12. हो गया. Applicability, rules, definitions. Oh yeah. So you're not doing anything wrong. I'm just trying to show you all students once more how to make sense. When you make sense, it will be easy to remember. You're all smart kids. You have good memory. When you were growing up, you have seen the world change as you were growing up. I have seen the world change. We have seen the first mobile phones. There were no mobile phones. We have seen the world without mobile phones. We have seen the world without touchscreen. You might have not seen that, but you have seen so much. This is easy. Don't let it fool you otherwise.
Yes, sir.
Don't worry, Suchita. You've done excellent. The way you started, I'm happy. I'm just giving you extra brownie points for you to get in the future. So don't worry. That was good. You have studied. You will give me good readback. Everybody,
Yes,
you
sir.
are doing good overall. I'm just pushing you all. Don't take it otherwise. And don't take it for too granted also. Like, नहीं तो loss होगा तुम्हारा फिर. गुस्सा आ रहा है मेरे को बहुत. मैं तो सोच रहा था कोई C तक तो पहुंचेगा, D तक तो पहुंचेगा. कितना टाइम जाता है रीड करने में? हाँ, एक एक घंटे में आप लोग 150 पोस्ट देख लेते हो सोशल मीडिया पे. जो लोग नहीं देखते उनके लिए नहीं है, मैं नहीं देखता, मेरे लिए नहीं है. कितना कुछ किया यार. एरोबैटिक एक्रोबैटिक का भी कोई रूल बीच में बोल देता तो मेरे को अच्छा लग जाता. सब बाकी तो याद नहीं आ रहा, बट एक्रोबैटिक का मैं आपको बता सकता था. इट्स टू डू विथ प्रिवेंटिंग डैमेज टू प्रॉपर्टी एंड पीपल. उसमें आता है, जनरल रूल्स में आता है. वाह यार, अच्छा पढ़ के आए हो तुम. इतना ही तो चाहिए बस इनिशियली. Formation flights. What is the rule about formation flights as per rules of the RCR section 9? Raise your hands. Give me the answer. Yeah, Suchita, you ready? Give.
Sir, no civil aircraft is allowed to fly in formations.
Very good. What about I want to drop a relief package from my aircraft? Can I do it from a civil aircraft? Raise your hand, students. Yes, Prerit.
Sir, it is only possible in accordance with rule number 26.
Not clear, but correct. Clarity should be no civil aircraft is allowed to drop anything unless as per rule 26. The rule, समझो रूल को क्या है. रूल ये बोल रहा है अलाउड नहीं है, लेकिन हर चीज जो अलाउड नहीं है उसका एक तरीका भी होता है. वो तरीका 26 में दिया है. अलाउड है तो ऐसे है अलाउड. किसकी परमिशन चाहिए? कितना भी सोचना है. रेस्ट्रिक्टेड एरिया, प्रोहिबिटेड एरिया भी दिमाग में आना चाहिए ऐसे टाइम पे. कनेक्ट द डॉट्स. गुड. नंदिनी, आर यू कंफ्यूज विद थिंग्स? नंदिनी बोलेगी
No.
सर एक सिली मिस्टेक कर दिया आपने तो मेरे को आंसर ही नहीं देने दिया. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है.
No,
जस्ट
sir.
या. Which AIP will give me which are the 2 AIPs we spoke about, like references? Nukul. नकुल बोलेगा सर डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चन मेरे को पूछ रहे हो आप.
so no time.
ये बारकोड कहाँ से बन गया यार? मैं एआई पे पूछ रहा हूँ और आप क्या बोल रहे हो? Who is answering this question? Jyotsna. Okay,
Sir, it's in the unlawful interference, AIP India ENR 1.13, and in the interception, AIP India ENR 1.12. These comes under the avoidance of collision.
एक और एआईपी का नाम लिया था. वेरी गुड. स्टूडेंट सी. नुकुल कहाँ चल रहे हो? नुकुल नुकुल
Sir,
कहाँ
it's
कंफ्यूज हो इतने? क्या चल रहा है नुकुल? कंफ्यूज क्यों हो गए हो आप? परेशान लग रहे हो. तबीयत तो ठीक है? या नुकुल बोले सर कुछ नहीं, रात को
Yeah.
पार्टी कर रहा था, नहीं चल रहा है दिमाग अभी. एंड व्हाट अबाउट दिस वन? व्हाट अबाउट दिस? आई वाज सीकिंग दिस इन द आंसर. ज्योत्सना गुड जॉब. दोनों करेक्ट बोले आपने. वेरी गुड. रेस्ट्रिक्टेड एरिया बेस्ड इंफॉर्मेशन एआईपी इंडिया ENR 5.1. 3 AIP है. रेफरेंस याद कर लो स्टूडेंट्स. ये आपको आगे ढूंढने हैं CAR पे और एक बार गो थ्रू करना है. एनी क्वेश्चंस? नंदनी क्वेश्चंस? फील फ्री टू आस्क एनीथिंग. कुछ तो पूछ लिया करो जबरदस्ती. कुछ तो होगा क्वेश्चन दिमाग में. ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता क्वेश्चन नहीं और आंसर्स भी नहीं है. ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है स्टूडेंट्स? जवाब भी नहीं दे रहे हो, सवाल भी नहीं पूछ रहे हो. अटेंडेंस के आपको थोड़ी ना क्रेडिट्स मिल रहे हैं यहाँ पे. वैसा थोड़ी ना कोर्स है कि अटेंडेंस का आपको 6 मार्क 8 क्रेडिट मिलेगा. Jyotsna, question on your mind? Students studying offline, तुम भी नहीं पढ़ के
Yes,
बैठे हो ना? I'm just talking to these students who are going to study offline. तुम भी नहीं पढ़ रहे हो, पढ़ के बैठो. ये सब तुम्हारे लिए भी है. Yesterday one student called me and he's going through offline recordings only lectures because he's a working professional and he started with now, okay, and I think he's somewhere lecture 6 or something, and he's very old, okay, like older than all of us. So but he's very good, dedicated, but he doesn't have time to study. And our lectures are so lengthy. But he wants to learn that way. He's like, I want to learn in deep depth. I'm like, very good. So we were trying to speak, could not talk for 10, 15 days. Yesterday we spoke. And I like, guilty, sorry, I could not give you time. I hope everything is fine. On text, I know studies are going fine. Could not make time for call. You all know how it gets. He tells me that मेरे को अच्छा लग रहा है पढ़ाई में. And सब चल रहा है. I think lecture 6, F22 D-lat D-long, one of the most difficult things to understand otherwise. I could sense that he's feeling something, but I will not assume. I'll just clarify. He softly saw the window and he said, and जो तुम डांटते हो ना सर क्लास में, like he was talking in English, he said, so how you scold students? Other than that, sometimes I feel bad for the students, but other than that, he mentioned that twice because I know he also felt that anger because he was talking to me and he said that I made a silly error thinking I have done it right, and then I realized and I was feeling guilty about why could I make that mistake. And that's when I realized that that is the feel that I want you all to have when you're learning, that even though you're learning through the recording, you assume that it's the live lecture. You feel that. You feel that so that you tell your mind that, okay, why are you making that mistake? If someone's being a little loud, it means something is important that we are not following. With me, that is always the case. If I'm shouting, if I'm angry, it means you're not listening to me. And that thing that you're not listening is very important for you to listen and understand. But the problem is when someone shouts, the other person switches off because nobody likes aggression. So it's a bad thing. So you expect maturity from the instructor to not shout in such cases. But then the instructor knows that not shouting, the student is being complacent. Not shouting as in not disciplining. So we need to discipline in some or the other way. So you all make sure that you understand the psychology and you just follow instructions, talk about your psych. That's it. It's not difficult. These things can make it easy. Just think about it. Otherwise, textbook से पढ़ लो, उतना तो करना ही है और सबको करना है और आपको भी करना ही है. हम जो नोट्स बना रहे हो टेक्स्ट बुक के ही नोट्स हैं सारे. टेक्स्ट बुक एज इन सी यार. चलो, क्वेश्चंस तो ठीक है, आंसर्स ठीक है, नॉट बैड. Right now, let's get started. I want to talk about a lot of things right now. But the 50 minutes that we have spent right now, they should not go to waste. Please. Please, please, please. बोलने वाले बोलेंगे, कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं सिखाया, सिर्फ लेक्चर दिया सर ने. It is important, students, because that is what you are required to do before we start with the next session. टाइम नहीं है, मैं समझ सकता हूँ. 15 मिनट निकाल लो सिर्फ. 15 मिनट. You can just read it while having a cup of tea. 15 मिनट निकाल के एफर्ट निकाल सकते हो आप लोग, ठीक है ना. अभी छोड़ो मत, ये रेक्स के पीछे पड़े रहो आप. एवरी डे 15 minutes should be the secret. If you don't have time, then. If you have time, give as much as you want. पता है इंस्ट्रक्टर्स क्या करते हैं? एक और चीज सीक्रेट बता ही देता हूँ, दिमाग में आ गई मेरे. इंस्ट्रक्टर्स पे है ना बर्डन होता है. जो लोग स्कूल कॉलेज क्लासेस ओन करते हैं ना, डायरेक्टर्स सीईओज, उनका बर्डन होता है. बर्डन होता है कि आपको ये फिक्स टाइम पे ये सिलेबस खत्म करना. अब उनको भी पता है सिलेबस इतने टाइम में खत्म नहीं होता, बट उनको तो सैलरी मिल रही है, तो वो तो करेंगे खत्म. तो वो क्या करते हैं, सिलेबस ले लेते हैं, सिलेबस के की पॉइंट्स देख लेते हैं, की पॉइंट्स के की पॉइंट्स देख लेंगे, एक एक पॉइंट का वो लोग फ्लो चार्ट बना लेंगे ताकि उनको भी सिखाने में आसानी हो, जैसे पीपीटी के स्लाइड्स होते हैं. एंड देन एक एक पॉइंट पे दो दो वर्ड्स बोल के खत्म कर देंगे. कुछ क्वेश्चंस होंगे तो आंसर दे देंगे. जब आप लोग क्वेश्चंस नहीं पूछोगे, वो लोग कुछ नहीं बोलेंगे. उनको जब पता भी होगा ना ये चीज आपको नहीं समझ में आई है, अगर आप नहीं पूछोगे वो लोग नहीं बोलेंगे, उनको अलाउड नहीं होता. They cannot teach you properly even if they have to, otherwise they will lose their job. The good instructors suffer that. बाकी लोग तो ऑलरेडी शॉर्टकट्स ढूंढते हैं. So they won't care whether you have studied or not. They will care whether they have finished the syllabus, and while finishing the syllabus, were you in the class or not. That's the care that they have. If you were not in the class, it's your fault, not theirs. If you were in the class, instructor finished the syllabus, even still you don't understand, it's your fault. They will give you a lot of questions to practice, and they will give you exam questions to practice, hoping that 1000 क्वेश्चन सॉल्व कर लो 2 बार, उसमें से 50 आ जाएंगे तो आपको रट्टा याद रहेगा, काम किए थे आपने. I'm not saying everyone is like that, but that is the state everywhere of education in the country. They won't care, but the loss will always be yours. You attend the class, you don't attend the class. In such places, those students who are self-studious, they need just some guidance. They come out from there with good experience. Only those. And on basis of their reputation, the classes are going on. But those who are not able to do that, those who really need training, they don't get it. अब मेरी बातें सुन सुन के भी आपको इतने मुश्किल से समझ आ रही है, सोचो वो आदमी एक बार एक चीज आपको बोलने वाला है, वो भी ऐसी इंग्लिश में जो समझ में नहीं आने वाली है, तो कैसे याद रहेगा. और फिर आपको तो बोल देंगे नोट्स दिए पढ़ लो. फिर आपको नोट से ज्यादा आसान क्या लगता है पता है? क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करना, क्योंकि क्वेश्चन में डायरेक्ट होता है, ये रूल में क्या लिखा है, ये कौन से रूल में लिखा है, ये किसका रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, ये कौन करता है, ये कैसे होता है, ये मिनिमम्स क्या है, ये मैक्सिमम्स क्या है. यही टाइप के क्वेश्चन है रेगुलेशन में। बस वो ज्यादा आसान लगता है, बट उसमें क्या हो जाता है, 250, 200, 100, 300, 400, 500 पॉइंट्स टोटल याद करने पड़ते हैं शुरू शुरू में। इजी तो लगता है बट कितना मुश्किल लगता है। फिर इजी क्या हो जाता है, जो चीजें रिपीट हो रही हैं वो इजी हो जाती है। बट आज मुझे नींद से भी उठा लो, बोलो सीआर सेक्शन 9, कोई क्वेश्चन पेपर की जरूरत नहीं है। जितना हमने पढ़ा है उतना थरली है मेरे दिमाग में। तुम्हारे दिमाग में भी हो सकता है if you're following the instruction. So why am I able to do what I'm doing? Because nobody is making me do it. I realized if I have to give proper training here in this field, I have to have my training institute. Only then I can do it. When I was doing it for others, they were not allowing me to do it. But students wanted it. In the class, students want. I want to give, but they don't want it to be done because they know it will take time and that will impact their turnover. And I know they are right business point of view, because this strategy is a loss making strategy when it comes to so called money making in education. But am I doing it for money making and business? I am not. Thanks to you all, I can feed my family. That is more than enough right now. I know one day will come where I'll have that proper offline thing for you all to sit and study. But not everybody wants offline here, right? So good for you. You're getting the best. Make the most of it, okay? It's not a joke. It is not a joke. I've seen all the flaws in training and how it impacts in future. I've seen 30, 32-year-old students sitting for ground classes again. They have businesses, families, children, but they're struggling to clear ground papers. It hurts and pains. So many of y'all have started and y'all know that how difficult it becomes. Some of y'all have already faced problems and reached here. I'm protecting you from the worst that can happen in future just through your ground training. Whatever you're investing extra 3, 4, 5 months here behind me, it is going to save 5, 6 years of time and trauma ahead on an average. इतना समझ लो अभी अच्छे से, ये स्ट्रैटेजीज कहाँ ले जाने वाली है हम लोगों को। ट्रस्ट मी ऑन दैट। नहीं तो आप लोग शॉर्टकट से भी पेपर निकाल सकते हो, आपको पता है। आप लोग नहीं चूज कर रहे हो वो, तो फिर टेक एवरीथिंग दैट आई एम गिविंग यू राइट नाउ। Rules of the air is something that should be on the tip of your tongue. If that is, you will never fail your regulations exam anywhere in the world or RT exams anywhere in the world. So RT students को तो already आना चाहिए ये सब, वो भी नहीं आंसर दे पा रहे हैं. So there is something that is not right, which you need to buck up. And if I am saying this, then you should take it as if Prime Minister ने कुछ बोला है इस चीज के लिए. मजाक नहीं कर रहा हूं मैं. I know you are listening, but are you really listening and trying? Remember this, 20 days, we can change our lives with respect to regulations. 20 days from here. Just saying, that will only work if you are doing what you are asked to do regularly. And unable to do, talk to me. I'm here, not going anywhere now. I'm taking care of my health in such a way that I don't go away. Okay? Remember this, take a break, come back fresh, and let's break all records with rules of the air. All right, everyone. 1, 2, 3, 0, come back. Enjoy your break and come back with a smile. And let me know if you want me to dance or something. I'm going to say no, but you can let me know. Chalo, see you in 15 minutes, students. Enjoy your break. Okay, the light again is an issue. Welcome back, students. Okay, sorry. I hope you can hear me, students. On a scale of 5, I just had something to eat quickly, feeling energetic. How about you? Are we ready? It's very simple what you're going to learn ahead. The words are tricky. Please be careful. Wherever you have doubts, raise your hand, talk to me, and discuss. And enjoy the session and feel free to let your mind revolve around the concepts, let your imagination fly, and then come up with questions. If you need translation of something in another language, try me. I will try to do that for you. Okay. So yesterday, just take a look at the general rules and all sections in the general rule that we have. General rules have protection of persons and property. Then avoidance of collisions. Avoidance of collision-based rules are applicable to both IFR flights and VFR flights. So all these general rules that you're going to learn, remember, they are a part of VFR flights as well as IFR flights, both. If anybody ever talks about, okay, formation flights is only applicable for VFR flights, not IFR flights. Is it true? You will say, doesn't matter. If it's a civil aircraft, formation flights are not allowed. That should be your answer. Not a civil aircraft? Probably yes. Doesn't matter. VMC, IMC. Then that is not what rules have been talking about. Remember, simulation of instrument flights is also something that we'll be seeing right now. How to avoid collisions? What about flight plans? What is the importance? What are the different signals? How to understand time because of different time zones? What and how are the rules that we need to comply with respect to unlawful correction, with respect to air traffic control service? How much should we know about illegal activities? What comprises under unlawful interferences? What to do when you're flying in a prohibited or restricted area and you have been intercepted? What about the visibility requirements in VMC? That's where your general rules end. Remember, this flow is very important. Not the flow, but the points. All right, everybody clear with these points? Now we are going to quickly jump on to avoidance of collisions. Now I'll be giving you key points, all important points discussed. A few points we might not touch with respect to the text, but I'm counting on you to go through it in your reading task and discuss if you have any doubts. And I don't mind you giving me any para from anywhere and asking to be discussed that in the session. I don't mind doing that. Maybe in a session, maybe in real time, one-on-one, over chat or over call, whatever we are doing anytime. Let's talk about general rules. Gurpreet, what is the next thing in general rules? Hmm. 5 सेकंड हो गए, गुरप्रीत कुछ नहीं बोल रहा है. Rohita, what's the next thing in general rules?
It's protection of persons and property.
That is the one that we have done. I'm asking what's the next?
VFR.
Avoidance of collision.
No. Avoidance of collision. So I just gave this to you. See, I'm checking your presence of mind. I just shared the flowchart with you, which we had made yesterday. You are still not in the connect. Get into connect. What is the next thing in general rules? Avoidance of collisions. Next thing, avoidance of collision. Next after what? The first thing that Rohita said. Good job, Rohita. Good job, Nukul. Gurpreet, हो कि नहीं हो तुम?
Yes, sir.
कोई बात नहीं, ठीक है. Avoidance of collisions. Is it important or not, students? For me, it is very important. For everyone in transport is important. तुम्हें पता है, overall we are a part of transportation industry. सुन के अच्छा नहीं लगता ना? अभी जैसे आरटीओ होते हैं वैसे एटीओ नहीं होते हैं, डीजीसी के अंडर सेक्शंस होते हैं, आरएओज होते हैं, आरएओज। एटीओज हो सकते हैं ना, एटीओज, एयर ट्रैफिक ऑफिसेस, ऐसा कुछ होता नहीं है। अवॉइडेंस ऑफ कोलिजन, whatever you have in rules of the air, the first statement for avoidance of collision is such that no matter what happens in the rules, a pilot will not be exempted. Okay, a pilot will not be exempted from the responsibility of taking actions that give us collision avoidance. देखो रेगुलेशन स्टार्ट कैसे हो रहा है और रूल क्या है? द रूल इज सेइंग दैट no pilot will be exempted from taking actions that will require the pilot to avoid collisions. So in your rules of the air, students, you are getting exemptions. You have DGCA giving you certain exemptions, but exemptions with respect to the rules that you have to follow, that you will learn to avoid collision, you don't get exemptions. You don't get exemptions no matter what. That is what the rule is saying. The first thing it means, सबको ये करना है। डीजीसीए को आप कितने भी एप्लीकेशंस दे दो, यू विल नॉट गेट एन एग्जाम्शन. इट इज दैट इंपॉर्टेंट. हाउ डू यू डू इट? यू डू इट थ्रू collision avoidance maneuvers. What is maneuver? Moving the aircraft, controlling the aircraft right, left, up, down. So what are these maneuvers, or which direction should you go to avoid conflict? What is conflict here? Conflict means two things crashing, colliding, conflicting. So Rohita has given me the first line from the text. Very good. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Students, when you are taking the lecture, first listen to me. After that, you can take a look at the text. This is also a good habit. Right now, I am on page number 19 of the PDF, 3.2, avoidance of collision. I'll just share the screen and show you. It is good to have that handy if you want to take a look at to मैं किस चीज पे बोल रहा हूँ, ताकि जब आप ये करोगे ना, रिविजन करोगे, रीडिंग करोगे, आपको और आसानी से समझ आएगा. बट द ड्रॉबैक इज आपका ध्यान वहां चले जाएगा और आप मिस कर जाओगे मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ. और द ड्रॉबैक इज यू विल फील जो मैं बोल रहा हूँ वो गलत है, जो वहां है वो कुछ और है, खुद ही जज कर लोगे कि कुछ अलग इसका मीनिंग है, फिर सुनोगे नहीं, विच विल बी अ रॉन्ग थिंग. तो मेक श्योर ये दो ड्रॉबैक्स ना हो आपके साथ. So let's say that my aircraft is going on a track 0980, flight level 150. And 1 second, okay, students. Let's say I have another aircraft flying at 270 true, flight level 150. Now, what is going to happen in this case? They are having a potential conflict. What is conflict? This is conflict. We are conflicting. We cannot conflict. Why? Because we are at the same flight level. We are at a reciprocal track. They are reciprocal to each other. This is called as aircraft head-on. One of the most severe situations for us when it comes to collisions. It should not happen. Nowhere. Even when two people are walking, they should not collide. Even one person walking through a window pane, we have seen that in funny videos and all. It's not good. So what to do when you are in this situation? Aircraft head-on. Let's say you're flying 0980 track. Ahead of you, there's another track, another aircraft on the same track. Track 0980 true. Let's say flight level 170. Track 0980 true. Flight level 170. Now they are behind each other on the same flight level, same route, same track. Can this aircraft overtake? In air or overtake on ground? Let's say we are doing surface movement. This is a runway holding point. 2 aircrafts. This is the entry of the runway. 3 aircrafts like this. Let's say number 1, number 2, and number 3. Can this aircraft on ground overtake? Can this aircraft overtake? No, no overtakes allowed. Not in air, not in ground. Let's say I'm flying midnight, somewhere in air, no visibility, night time. I see a faint aircraft here, but I don't see the wings and anything. I don't know the direction of flight. I am here. I see another aircraft, but I don't know the direction of flight. But I know there are 2 aircraft somewhere there. Now, how do I determine if that aircraft is reciprocal or same direction? How do I determine if it is reciprocal or same direction? I have to observe what is called as navigation lights. An aircraft flying forward and an aircraft flying in my direction. Okay. Flying forward in the direction I'm flying, and an aircraft flying in my direction, like reciprocal. Navigation lights are something that is going to help me determine if this aircraft is coming to me or if this aircraft is going. How do I determine that? So my navigation lights are given to me. Who can tell me if you know anything about navigation lights? Have you seen them? Have you observed them? Think about it. What are the colors that we have seen? We have seen green. We have seen red. And then we have seen white. How do these lights help me determine the direction of traffic? So it is a rule that every aircraft will be fitted. I have one suggestion from Nandini, red for left. So my aircraft, on the left wingtip, there will be red light. On the right, I'll have green light. And I'll make the aircraft yellow. And then I'll make white light. So these are the 3 navigation lights. Now, if I can spot these 3 navigation lights to be in this triangle, left, red, right, green, and back white, then these navigation lights, they have enough intensity and power with respect to their electrical illumination as they are designed and they are supplied power, that they are visible at a large distance. Along with these lights, there will be a co-located strobe light also somewhere here. A strobe light, co-located strobe light ahead or behind or on the side. These are called wingtips. this, they are wingtips. The flashlights, strobe lights will keep flashing at a frequency white light. That is strobe light. And the green and red and white lights on the behind. Okay, these are strobe. Okay, these strobe are not nav lights. They are different. These are strobe lights. What are nav lights? This, and this. These three are my nav lights. So these three nav lights have certain degree of radius. Okay. Now Rohita is suggesting 110 degree for 110 degree for red and green. What is 110 degree? So you know this much is 90 degrees. So they are saying the light should be visible in a span of 110 degrees at least. Both sides. Green also, this also. 110 degrees. And the white light at the tail. So white light is at the tail fin. Not at the wingtip, but the tail fin. This should have an angle of 140 degrees. At least radiation pattern minimum. It would be great if a light could radiate in all 360 directions, like our bulbs in the house. They illuminate all sides, but that is not the requirement. We need the requirement in such a way that the person coming ahead can see the colors, at least red and green. If the person coming from ahead, we can spot red and green in the opposite side, we might not be able to see white. We know the aircraft is coming towards us. And if we see an aircraft with the red on the left, green on the right, and some white in center, we know that aircraft is flying in our direction. So these lights and the knowledge behind these lights help us understand on a bad visibility where you can just see the lights, whether the aircraft is coming to you or going away from you. And it is very important for navigation and collision avoidance. That's why these lights are called nav lights or navigation lights. These are kind of signals only, but they don't come under signals. So now with respect to this example that I've made, let's say that this aircraft, okay, this aircraft has green, red on this side and green on this side. And then of course, white on this side. So what do I determine? This is going in my direction only. It's not a head-on traffic. It's not a head-on traffic. Okay. What about the other aircraft? If the other aircraft, I see that this is here is green and this here is red, and that's all I can see, then I know this is reciprocal. So this is coming to me head-on, very bad. And this is going away from me. This is the importance of nav lights. Do you understand, students? What are nav lights? Nandini, Rohita, are you sure about the points that you have shared? Are you sure it's not vice versa? Are you sure on the left it's not green and on the right it's not red? And are you sure about the degrees of the radiation pattern also? Are you thorough with this? Good, I like the confidence. Gurpreet, samajh aa raha hai? Nukul, Prerit,
Yes, sir.
Affirm, sir.
Jyotsna, Sushita.
Affirm, sir.
Affirm, sir.
सर 110 डिग्री सर कैसे पता चलेगा?
आपको कुछ नहीं पता करना है, वो डिजाइन मैन्युफैक्चरर ने बना के रखा है. आपको दिख जाएगा, वो डिग्रीज उस तरह से मिनिमम डिफाइन की गई है कि आप कोई भी एंगल से एयरक्राफ्ट को देखो, आपको लाइट्स दिख जाएंगी.
ओके सर.
कैसे पता चलेगा, मैं आप लोगों को एक एग्जांपल दे सकता हूँ स्टूडेंट्स. लाइक नाउ सी, दिस इज अ लाइट. नाउ दिस लाइट आपको जो आगे दिख रही है ना, बेसिकली इट हैज अ रेडिएशन पैटर्न राइट नाउ. अभी इसका रेडिएशन पैटर्न कितना है? आई डोंट हैव स्मोक. आई कुड हैव शोन यू विद स्मोक. अगर मैं स्मोक दिखाता या कोई डस्ट पैटर्न आता तो यू कुड सी प्रोबेबली इट्स रेडिएशन पैटर्न इज गोइंग इन हॉरिजॉन्टल लाइक दिस एंड वी कैन जस्ट मेजर द आर्क. बस जैसे अपन ये दिखाते हैं ना कि ये मेरा अगर लैंप है, like if this is my lamp like on a pole something, then this lamp will just give me light in this area, right? तो ये कितना एंगल हो गया? It can be measured easily. जितना भी होगा वो डिफाइंड होगा by the manufacturer. तो ये मेरे को मिनिमम 110 डिग्रीज चाहिए विंग टिप नैव लाइट्स पे रेड एंड ग्रीन. एंड ये मुझे चाहिए 140 डिग्री मिनिमम फॉर माई टेल लाइट, टेल लैम्प लाइट, दैट इज माई वाइट लाइट मिनिमम। समझ लो गुरप्रीत क्या हो रहा है यहाँ पे?
यस सर।
तो जो मेरी लेजर लाइट होती है ना, लेजर लाइट्स, यू हैव ऑल प्लेड विद लेजर प्रोबेबली, दैट लेजर लाइट विल ओनली शूट इन दिस बीम, दैट्स इट। तो उसको कितना एंगल मिल रहा है स्टूडेंट्स? हार्डली कुछ एंगल मिल रहा है, तो 0 डिग्री जा रहा है, इट्स लॉन्जिट्यूडनल। एंगल तब बनेगा जब मेरे को रेडिएशन पैटर्न इतना मिल रहा है, तो ये मेरा एंगल हो गया फिर। या मेरे को रेडिएशन पैटर्न इतना मिल रहा है, तो ये मेरा एंगल हो गया। सो लेजर्स, बीम लाइट्स जनरली डोंट गिव यू एनी एंगल। समझ गए सब लोग? आपके शादियों में, घर के इवेंट्स में, पता है बड़े बड़े हैलोजन लगते हैं, वो हैलोजन का रेडिएशन पैटर्न होता है। बट 180 डिग्रीज तो किसी का भी नहीं होता स्टूडेंट्स। 180 डिग्री जिसका होता है उसको फ्लड लाइट बोलता है, वो 360 डिग्री देता है आपको। पर 360 डिग्री के भी आपको कहीं बीच में हैंग करना पड़ता है, और ऊपर उतना लाइट नहीं मिलता है। सो लाइट्स हैव अ मिनिमम radiation pattern. That's why, that is the main reason why on an aircraft you have anti-collision lights. What are anti-collision lights? One on top, one below. They are red lights, and the light inside the housing of this light turns at a certain revolution per minute, like a beam of a lighthouse or something. तो इस लाइट को टॉप व्यू से आप देखोगे तो उसके अंदर का लाइट है ना, अंदर घूमता रहता है एट सर्टेन रेवोल्यूशन, सो दैट इट रेडिएट्स रेड लाइट इन ऑल डायरेक्शंस, जस्ट लाइक अ वीओआर वेरिएबल सिग्नल। ऐसे करके हम 360 डिग्री रेडिएशन पैटर्न अचीव करते हैं इन दीज लाइट्स। दीज आर कॉल्ड एंटी कोलिजन लाइट्स। दे आर रेड, दे अपीयर टू बी फ्लैशिंग, बट दे आर रिवॉल्विंग, एक नीचे एक ऊपर। तो आप बैड क्लाउड में भी रहोगे, इफ यू आर इन अ वेरी बैड क्लाउड लाइक जीरो विजिबिलिटी, still that area around your cloud will keep flashing red lights like this. So we know that this can catch attention to avoid any potential traffic collision. So these are anti-call lights, and the other three are nav lights. There are more lights outside the aircraft, but the colored lights are only this. Rest all lights are illumination lights. These are not illumination lights. When I say illumination, लाइट का एक काम होता है, राइट, कहीं पे रोशनी देना जहां पे रोशनी नहीं है। These are not illumination lights, but they illuminate for us to avoid collisions and for us to understand navigation properly if the aircraft is coming head on, if the aircraft is going behind. There are certain rules with respect to these radiation pattern degrees, that इतना होना चाहिए कि आपको पीछे वाला देख सके, आगे वाला देख सके, उस हिसाब से ये परसेंटेज कैलकुलेट हुआ है। You just have to read the line and understand that. So collision avoidance has something to do with lights, has something to do with rules related to head-on. Okay? Has rules related to flight levels also. Now, why flight levels? Let's go back. Let's go back and let's think about this. How would have I, अभी देखो हम क्या करेंगे ना, इन सबको है ना, इस लेक्चर में जब तक कोलिजन चल रहा है हमारा, बस लाइट्स डिनोट कर देंगे दो, तो हमें पता चल जाएगा सेम डायरेक्शन है या रेसिप्रोकल डायरेक्शन है, करेक्ट? बट रिमेंबर, ऑन द लेफ्ट इज रेड, दैट इज पोर्ट इज लेफ्ट, स्टारबोर्ड इज राइट, राइट इज ग्रीन। मुझे तो बहुत कंफ्यूजन होती है ये याद रखने में, so I have devised my own way to memorize this, but I am never, sometimes when I have not seen an aircraft for some days, I verify myself. I am not confused, right, about the lights. Imagine, we all have our weaknesses and strengths. Although I'm not confused, but anytime getting into action, first I want to get thorough with my theories first. Port starboard is invented through the times of ships and all, like centuries ago. Port is left, starboard is right. Left is red, right is green. Generally, right, red याद रह जाता है दिमाग में. So here, port side, left side is red, right side is green, right side is green, right side is green, right side is green, like this. इस पे एक क्वेश्चन तो आएगा ही आपको. One of the lights will come in the exam. So how can I prevent collision? I can prevent collision if my flight level would have been flight level probably 160, or maybe flight level 170, maybe flight level 180, or maybe flight level 140, maybe flight level 130. Which one should I choose? So people will tell you, follow the table for flight levels. Now the table for flight levels will be as per the kinds of airspaces we have. What are those kinds of airspaces? RVSM, non-RVSM. So you need to remember, students, RVSM airspace. RVSM stands for reduced vertical separation minimums or minima. RVSM originates from CVSM. CVSM is conventional vertical separation minima. Minimums that, as per rules of the air, people and planes flying have to maintain when it comes to vertical separation between aircraft flying on the same track. Only then there is a problem. So for me, to avoid a collision in this case, I have a choice that I should make. But how do I make this choice? This is given to me under the tables of cruising altitudes as a part of rules of the air. Collision avoidance only, probably, or maybe some other section. What are the rules? First rule is, if you have odd flight level, odd numbers, 150 is odd, 160 is even, 170 is odd, 180 is even. जहां पे भी 24680 आता है ना, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, वो इवन नंबर है, क्यों 2 से डिवाइड होता है डायरेक्टली. वैसे तो सब कुछ 2 से डिवाइड हो सकता है, बट विल गेट डेसिमल्स. We don't need decimals. Anything that has 3, 5, 7, 9, वो हो जाता है even. First rule is, if you have odd flight level, tick to odd as new flight level. अगर नया flight level लेना है तो odd number पे ही जाना. Why? Because if you are using odd, the reciprocal traffic will be following even. This is the design. So first things first, to make an easy calculation in questions like this, check if only one option is odd, if your given value was odd, or if multiples are odd. Only one was odd, given value was odd, choose that one blindly. You don't even have to solve anything in that particular question if a question is like that. But if multiple questions are odd, you are odd, then okay, you have to a little bit think about it. Okay, which one should I choose? So I can either avoid collision through going through what to do to avoid head-on situations, or I can either avoid collision by choosing proper flight levels. I can choose to avoid collisions following nav lights and their understanding. I can choose to avoid collisions by being on the lookout for red strobe lights or red anti-call lights anywhere around. Then one more thing that can happen with respect to collision is, my aircraft is flying very nicely on a planned track like this, and there is another aircraft very happily flying on a planned track like this. And luckily, they both are on the same flight level. What to do now? अब क्या होता है when we are going out, when we are driving, or when we are in a cab, in an auto, or whatever transport we use? So many times we have seen bikers and other people, they go first. They won't let us go first, even when it's our chance. तू पहले साइड दे, मेरे को पहले साइड चाहिए. I don't know why, but everybody does that. Aviation transport, the same situation can happen. Two people might be crossing each other's path. पहले कौन जाएगा? So there is a rule predefined we have to follow. And generally roads पे भी अपने regional transport like road transport, road also has rules. It's just that they are not as strictly followed as we are following in aviation. That's why the number of accidents actually. On a side note, I think any which ways government doesn't have, a country has unemployment, government has funds. I think people should increase the positions and designations in government sectors. Like if there is pollution, then hire more people as government employees who would do the cleaning of the pollution. It can be done. And unemployment will be fixed, right? And especially hire and train those people who are not educated. So we can solve society's problem if we have more people handling. But the bad thing is, we don't have iCAO to run a nation, but we have iCAO to run civil aviation. That is why it is so safe. So what I could do in this case, if I have to prevent road accidents, I can have strict rules to comply. I'll need manpower for that. I'll have to hire maybe 1 lakh more individuals to execute that. But that will give money to those lakh households and increase safety and reduce accidents also. It is possible. That's why aviation is expensive, because they put in that much of money to give us all this. But here we realize that even the roads are not constructed. How can we expect them to do so much? And now you know why you have to be careful wherever you are outside. Because other people might not be educated to follow rules. And if they break rules, they might collide with you. And that collision can cost us injuries. So as an aviation professional, you understand the world in such a good way that you feel that you are the king of the world when you have taken all the knowledge inside. Because then you're not hampered by anything and you're always safe and protected. Good, right? Good choice of career. So what to do? If this situation happens, what does the rule says? Rule says that there is a right of way. Right of way as in one of the two people in this situation, the purple aircraft and the pink aircraft, whatever colors you are saying, who has the right of way, that person will go first. No more debates by the rule. Now, this is left, this is right, this is left for this aircraft, and this is right for this aircraft. Read this carefully from the textbooks. The language is very confusing to understand. For some, for all, for some, for all, maybe. Left, right, left, right. The rule of the air, section 9, annex 2, article 12, mainly section 9 for us now. Section 9 says that the aircraft that has the other aircraft on its right. So which is the aircraft that has the other aircraft in this case on its right? Is it purple aircraft or is it pink aircraft? Gurpreet?
It is purple aircraft.
Purple aircraft, okay. Prerit? Which is that aircraft which has the other aircraft on its right?
So this purple aircraft.
Rohita, Nandini, Suchita, Nukul. Nukul, do you understand this? Are they right? So the statement says the aircraft which has the other aircraft on its right, this aircraft, it's his responsibility. This aircraft that has other aircraft on the right, it is the responsibility of this purple aircraft to give way to aircraft on right. So jo right mein hai, that person is so right, they don't have to worry about it. Like wordplay right now. So if you see some other aircraft at a level on the right, it's your job to give them way. They might ask, they might not ask. कैसे पूछेंगे हवा में यार? कुछ नहीं कर सकते वो लोग. You just have to understand, maybe reduce your airspeed, let them go. That's all. That's what you will do. तुम सोचोगे सर मैं क्या करूँ हवा में, मैं कैसे रुकाऊँ, कैसे मैं तो बाइक रुका लेता, जाने देता, फिर मैं चलता. Like we do it for, I often do that for old people crossing the street when I'm driving or riding on the road also. Like I let them cross, like, and I have family, I know. I would like that to be done to my family when they are crossing roads. Like हवा में वो नहीं कर सकते, right? But you can reduce your airspeed. There are ways where such things happen. you will experience when you're flying. Simulations, I mean, that's where you'll be. I'm hoping they will give you simulations like that. Real to bahut mushkil hoga, trial and error. So this is your responsibility to give way to the aircraft on the right. Simple. This is rule number 1. But then this rule has subsequent rule that if these two both are Boeing 737 and Boeing 737, or it is any wide body fixed wing heavier than air aircraft, any, both are if in the same category, then this rule is to be followed. If they are not in the same category, then the rule changes. How does the rule change? Let's say I am taking 10 passengers on a flight for some important reason. In those 10 passengers, okay, let's say I'm doing an emergency evacuation of 10 people from a small place, taking them in the flight and protecting them, taking them from there. In those 10 people, I have a child, 6-7-year-old. Then I have, let's say, another child, 10-11-year-old. Then let's say I have a lady with a child. Then let's say I have an old man. And then say I have all healthy youngsters, individuals, rest of the 5. Now, logically, or as per rules, the first priority will be given to the kids, the women with kids, the old people, in sequence. The ones who are not able to help themselves. And then the last priority would be given to all those independent, mature people who are like, chalo tum khud se aa jao upar, bakiyon ko hum leke ja rahe hain. If someone is challenged in some or the other way, they'll get privilege before in getting the important thing done. When it comes to the right of way, a similar example comes into picture. There are balloons, there are airships, there are gliders. They don't have the power of flight or the capacity of flight the way we do. We as in the ones flying aeroplanes. So the one flying aeroplanes are the last people. When it gets to giving privilege as to who gets the way, even if they are right or left. If the category of the aircraft is same, if all are those healthy young adults who can stand on their own, then the one on the right should have the way. The one on the left will give the way. So the questions could be confusing. Read it carefully. Who should have the way? The aircraft on the right. Who should not have the way? The aircraft on the left. Who should give way? The aircraft on the left. To whom should it give way? To the aircraft on the right, provided the categories are same. If the categories are not same, you see that there is a hierarchy. 4 lines or 5 lines will be discussed. You follow that hierarchy. That this aircraft will give way to that first, that will give way to that first, that will give way to that first. So planes that are not powered, like gliders, they will always get priority first because they cannot manipulate their speed. And so this is the most critical thing in your collision avoidance. Now, in your collision avoidance, you will come across proximity, the word proximity. There is a ground proximity warning system that talks to the pilots or the flight crew about the aircraft's proximity with respect to ground. Proximity can be sensed through airborne collision avoidance system, through traffic collision avoidance system. An alert can be given to you. Proximity can be sensed through radars, ATC monitoring the radars. If there are any more instruments, devices that can measure proximity, then you'll have that on board. Collision avoidance starts with proximity, as in the statement is an aircraft shall not be operated in such proximity to other aircraft as to create a collision hazard. So it's your job to maintain that distance. Simple. How much should be the distance? Now it's logical. There is no minimum thing that you can measure. तुम्हारा वो दूसरे aircraft के wing tip से minimum 15 nautical mile होना चाहिए या 15 feet होना चाहिए. Nobody can analyze that. There's no such instrument to measure that wing tip to wing tip. So how do you maintain that proximity or safe clearance? By being where you are supposed to be, because that's ATC's job to do that for you. Your job is to be where you're supposed to be or where you're told where to be, and being aware of that situation. Right of way is very easy to understand. Now understand, this aircraft is giving right of way to the other aircraft. This aircraft is getting right of way. I said, how will this purple aircraft give right of way? By reducing airspeed or by altering heading. If airspeeds are same and you think distance is too less for the airspeed to come into effect, then you might change your heading a little bit to deviate from the course like completely and give them way. Whatever it takes to give them way. You might have to deviate also then a little bit. Might have to climb also then a little bit. With respect to ATC's instructions or clearances, you will do that. So the aircraft that actually has the right of way, what it does, it will maintain its airspeed and heading. Remember, heading is what you can control to stay on a track. So heading is what they're talking about. Although you'll be required to stay on a track, you'll control that through heading, making corrections. You have all studied navigation, so I'm not worried about that. So the rule says that the aircraft that has right of the way will maintain its heading and speed. With respect to right and left, the aircraft on the right. And with respect to the hierarchy, we'll see the hierarchy right now. Now, whichever aircraft that is responsible to follow this rule, okay, to ensure that you are out of the way of another aircraft, you should avoid passing over, passing under, or in front of another aircraft. Don't do that. Don't do that. Now, a small aircraft, a bigger aircraft. We will see which aircraft gets which right of way. Let's say this is on the right, this is on the left. It will maintain its heading and speed. And this aircraft, which has to give it the clearance, should not try to go like this or go on top of it or go from down. If they are doing so, they should make sure that the distance is too high and that the other aircraft will not be hampered with the wake turbulence of this, the wake turbulence left behind, because a small aircraft can stall in that wake turbulence. Whenever two aircrafts are approaching head-on, read this, okay? When two aircrafts are approaching head-on or approximately head-on, like a little bit here also, like this is head-on in the same line or a little bit here also, like approximate head-on is also considered as head-on only this much, okay? And if there is a danger of collision, then both the aircrafts shall change or alter the heading to their rights. So this aircraft will go on its right, as right as it can go, and this aircraft will go to its right. So when you look at the top view, what will happen if they're coming here? The rules of the air say both will go to right, and they going on the right will protect them like this. If they both go on the left, what will happen? The same thing will happen if both go on the left. If both go on right, the same thing will happen. The rule is to go on the right. Both will go on their rights, individual rights. Remember that. This going right and this going left will be a collision again. This going left and this going right will be a collision again. But both going left or right will avoid the collision. You have to go right. That is the rule prescribed by the rules of the air or DG or everything else that we have studied. Aircraft head-on, where proximity is such that can result into collision or approximately head-on, each should alter its heading on the right. समझ रहे हो आप लोग स्टूडेंट्स? Collision head-on. ये दोनों की बात नहीं हो रही है. Same direction. Same direction. Both right will go right. Both left will go left. Opposite direction. My right, and my right, like this. So iska right नीचे, iska right ऊपर है, from top view like this. So like this, both will go to right and we are protected. So that is head-on. Remember that. All aircrafts, both the aircrafts will alter their heading to the right. Easy thing, don't get confused. So this is approaching. This is called converging. These are converging aircrafts. when two aircraft are converging approximately at the same flight level, the aircraft that has the other aircraft on its right shall give way, following certain exceptions. What are those exceptions? SPL, PPL, CPL, ये सब में पढ़ना पड़ता है आपको. It's like it starts from SPL. Power driven, heavier than air aircraft. It shall give way to remember the sequence. Airships, gliders, balloons. अब ये इसमें राइट एंड लेफ्ट मैटर नहीं करेगा. Irrespective of right or left, you have to give way to airships, gliders, and balloon, even if they are on your left. So you have to alter your speed and go in a way that doesn't collide with them. तो आपको डेविएशन करना पड़ेगा वहां पे, और एटीसी को बोल देना वो डेविएशन के बारे में, पूछ लेना भाई डेविएट कर रहा हूँ, वहां तो कोई नहीं है, तो वहां प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगी. Then what do we have? We have airships. So you take that airship and you write down airships. तो कैटेगरी आप समझ रहे हो आप, किसके पास ज्यादा फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी है उड़ने की कंपेयर टू दिस 4 एयरक्राफ्ट. एयरशिप्स विल गिव वे टू ग्लाइडर्स एंड बलून्स. तो बचा क्या हमारे लिस्ट में? ग्लाइडर्स. स्टूडेंट्स यू ऑल नो व्हाट ग्लाइडर्स एंड बलून्स आर, राइट? नहीं है ना, तो आप कुछ देख लेना और मुझसे कंफर्म कर लेना यही है ना. इंडिया में इट्स वेरी ट्रिकी टू लर्न ग्लाइडिंग. बहुत पॉलिटिक्स है. There are hardly a few approved schools and they're very cheap, but then getting an admission is very difficult. I don't like that. Gliders, of course, as you must have imagined, shall give way to balloons. Balloons की भी trajectory measure कर सकते हैं. The track that the balloon is going to take can be measured, not as accurately, but it can be measured. Like in a way, it can be measured. Study this carefully, okay? अभी के अभी दिमाग में रह जाना चाहिए. कल सुबह जब मैं क्वेश्चंस पूछूंगा आपको, मेरे को ना तो आपके ब्लैंक आंसर्स चाहिए ना इनकरेक्ट आंसर्स चाहिए. आई नीड परफेक्ट आंसर्स, बिकॉज ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक है और बहुत ईजी है. The last point is tricky. What did we learn about towing? Can an aircraft be towed by another aircraft?
No, sir.
Negative, sir.
Power driven aircraft give way to other aircraft that are towing other aircraft or objects. स्टूडेंट्स, अभी तो हमने बोला एयरक्राफ्ट दूसरे एयरक्राफ्ट को टो नहीं कर सकती है. व्हाट इज दिस स्टेटमेंट? कैन समवन clarify the difference in this statement? Which aircraft will be towing the aircraft? Why are they mentioning this point by telling us no civil aircraft can tow another, no aircraft can tow another aircraft? Anyone?
So an aircraft cannot tow another aircraft, but an aircraft can tow other ground vehicles.
That is true, but why have they given us that you should give way to another aircraft towing another aircraft or object? It means that, yeah,
Sir,
no,
because of glider.
what because of glider?
Sir, aircraft can tow the glider.
So because of there an action of towing two aircrafts other than power-driven aircraft.
Nothing like that. Thinking in the right direction, there will be possibilities where a controlled tow of an aircraft is required from another aircraft in special circumstances. Maybe different categories, like you're mentioning. That could be subject through proper approvals. So that is what they're meaning to say. If you happen to see an aircraft towing some, like just has something carrying that is being like hung on them and being carried, generally towing will be that you're pulling something ahead of you. It becomes very difficult to tow an aircraft in flight because they both should be programmed to have the same control surfaces, but the wake turbulence would impact the characteristics. And if they two are too up or above, then the tow bar or the tow rope, flexible rope, whatever they will be using, that can stretch and cause structural damage. It's a very risky thing. If it is done, then it would be done under controlled environment. But with respect to this statement, there is a possibility. Possibility could be not similar to having power driven, aeroplane, something else also. But there seems to be a possibility, and such things you need to keep in mind that, yeah, मेरे को नहीं सिविल एविएशन में करना है, बट कहीं ना कहीं एक प्लेन दूसरे प्लेन को शायद ले जा रही है या ले जा सकती है in one or the other situations. Not a plane, but aircraft. Little things here and there could be contradictory to what you have studied, so you need to know the exceptions. Now let's quickly talk about overtaking. The definition of overtaking has right of way. Please study. There are 4 points: airships, gliders, balloons. Power driven, airships, gliders, balloons. Power driven, all 3. Airships, all 2. Gliders, balloons. All power driven should give way to all aircrafts towing any other aircraft or object. Right of way, you know, alter your heading to the right. Converging aircraft, you know, right of the way. Right of way is to do with converging aircraft. Attach the keyword converging aircraft. All right. Any doubts so far?
No, sir.
Negative, sir.
Overtaking is not allowed. What is overtaking? Okay. The keyword is 70 degrees with plane of symmetry. Now, symmetry is like reflection, exact ditto copy. Okay. An overtaking aircraft is defined in a way that it is an aircraft that approaches another aircraft from rear. हमें पता है overtaking पीछे से ही होता है. Any aircraft that is approaching another aircraft from the rear, on ground or in air, both. Let's say this aircraft is approaching from the rear. Then if this aircraft is within 70 degrees of plane of symmetry, what is that 70 degree here, students? Plane of symmetry. I might show you a diagram with respect to that later on, but remember the keywords here. It means that with respect to this, if my aircraft is within a range of 70 degrees, somewhere here, the plane of symmetry, basically this reflection could be a plane of symmetry like this, and you measure that 70 degree within that. Not from here, this is 90 degree, this is 90 degree. You take 40 or 35 from those 90, you get 70 degree, just like the radiation pattern. Within that 70 degree, if you are existing of the plane, so that 70 degree could be, with respect to you, could be up to here, could be up to here. Within 70 degree. 90 degree would be here somewhere, plane of symmetry, like 90 degree. Not a difficulty. Within 70 degree would be anywhere here, from rear. If you are approaching an aircraft from rear within 70 degrees of the plane of symmetry, then you are considered as an overtaking aircraft. And when it comes to overtaking aircraft, the aircraft that is being overtaken, although you are not overtaking, if you had to overtake, then this aircraft that is being overtaken has the right of way. उल्टे जवाब उल्टी लैंग्वेज में हमें सिखा रहे हैं लोग, because that is more thorough actually. So they are trying to say the aircraft ahead always has the right of way. The aircraft behind cannot overtake the aircraft as long as it is within 70 degrees of the plane of symmetry. If it is not within 70 degrees of plane of symmetry, 70 degree के बाहर है, it is not an overtaking aircraft. If it is not an overtaking aircraft, it can go ahead of it. No problem at all. That is not overtaking. 70 डिग्री में है तो ये ऐसे जाके ऐसे जाना पड़ेगा उसको ओवरटेकिंग बोलते हैं. दैट इज नॉट अलाउड. 70 डिग्री से ज्यादा है उसको सीधे ही जाना पड़ेगा. वो जा सकता है, जा सकती है. So this is the rule. The aircraft being overtaken will get the right of way as long as the overtaking aircraft is termed as an overtaking aircraft, which will be within 70 degrees of the plane of symmetry of the latter, this one. And they say that the overtaking aircraft would be such that at night, when the visibility is not there, at night, this aircraft should be seeing it becomes difficult for the pilots in an overtaking aircraft to be able to perfectly visualize the aircraft's navigation lights from rear, from certain angles. I'll be showing you the diagrams as to how exactly the angle of 110 degrees measured. So you will understand, okay, the aircraft within 70 degree of plane of symmetry might be not be able to see those lights. So the line is that the overtaking aircraft, which is approaching the aircraft at an angle of less than 70 degrees with the plane of symmetry, that aircraft is in such a position with reference to the aircraft ahead that it should be unable to see any of the nav lights. Understand? There is a rule. The rule is not just talking about 70 degrees, but the position of 70 degree within 70 degrees such that you will not be able to see the nav lights. Now, what happens when you're not able to see the nav lights? You don't know if the aircraft is approaching head-on or it's going in the same direction also. So this is a very bad point for you to be behind an aircraft like this. So you will not be able to see the aircraft left, that is port, or the right, that is starboard navigation lights. Now the aircraft that is ahead, that is the aircraft that is being overtaken, it has the right of way. And the aircraft that is overtaking, called as the overtaking aircraft, whether it is climbing or descending or having a straight horizontal flight, it shall keep itself, the pilot should keep that aircraft out of the way of the aircraft ahead by altering the heading to the right. Overtaking aircraft will give right of way to the aircraft being overtaken by altering its heading to the right. Head on be right, overtaking wala bhi right karega. Remember this. Please make a note. Can't see nav lights. Give way to aircraft being overtaken. Turn right by altering heading to right. Simple. quickly go through head-on, converging, right of way, overtaking. See if you have any doubts. Abhi पढ़ लो. Gurpreet, Nukul, Jyotsna, are you able to follow? Thoroughly have you memorized these points? Nandini, Suchita, Prerit,
Yes, sir.
Neha,
Yes,
Hemant, Aditya,
sir.
so many other students will be doing it. Atharva, through the recordings only they are going to study. Think about it. Let it soak in. समझ लो 2 मिनट सब कुछ. See if you have any questions. Think about it. Put yourself in the cockpit. Think about realistic situations, how it would be. How it would be.
Sir, please explain the last flow chart of overtaking.
Flowchart नहीं है वो. An overtaking aircraft is an aircraft that is within 70 degrees or less in the plane of symmetry of the aircraft ahead. The position of being at 70 degree or less with respect to the aircraft is such where the aircraft that is overtaking cannot see the navigation lights of the aircraft being overtaken. So second point हो गया आपका. So वैसे situation में जो aircraft overtake कर रहा है वो aircraft को जो aircraft overtaken कर रहा है overtake हो रहा है उसको way दे देना चाहिए. And how do you give that way? You give that way by altering your heading to the right when you are behind. ये 4 पॉइंट्स सिखाए आपको. So overtaking aircraft क्या होती है जो 70 degrees within plane of symmetry होती है. उससे क्या होता है उससे आपको nav lights नहीं दिखते हैं. That is overtaking. 2 rules to be an overtaking aircraft. Either you cannot see nav lights नहीं देख रहे हैं मतलब you are within 70 degree or less of the symmetry, or you can say within 70 degree or less of the symmetry. Both are the same meanings. Be mindful about it. तो उससे क्या होता है? It means you are overtaking aircraft. You have to allow that aircraft to go. Give them way. And how do you do that? By altering your heading to the right.
सर अगर वो 70 डिग्री में है तो तब नहीं कर सकता वो.
तभी करना है. अगर वो विदिन 70 डिग्री है तो उसको ओवरटेकिंग एयरक्राफ्ट बोलते हैं. अगर वो 70 डिग्री से ज्यादा है, अगर उसको नैव लाइट दिख रही है तो वो ओवरटेकिंग एयरक्राफ्ट नहीं है. दे शुड नॉट वरी अबाउट इट. सब अपना अपना पाथ फॉलो करो, अपनी स्पीड फॉलो करो. तो अगर आप बोल रहे हो उसे 70 डिग्री से ज्यादा वाले को ये सब फॉलो नहीं करना है तो आप सही बोल रहे हो.
ओके सर.
बट आपने शायद उसका ऑपोजिट बोला अभी. क्या है कंफ्यूजन बताओ.
सर द रूल इज इफ सर कोई एयरप्लेन जा रहा है 70 डिग्री की रेंज में, अगर उसके पीछे कोई एयरप्लेन है तो वो उसको ओवरटेक नहीं कर सकता.
हम्म.
अगर वो 70 डिग्री के बाहर है देन दे हैव टू उसको अपना पाथ फॉलो करना है, कोई इशू नहीं.
हाँ, अपना पाथ फॉलो करना है. वेरी वेल सेड. ये नहीं बोला आपने कि वो ओवरटेक कर सकता है. वेरी गुड. वो पाथ फॉलो करे, कोई कोलिजन नहीं होगा आपका. ऐसा है. उसको ओवरटेकिंग बोलेंगे नहीं हम लोग.
और सर लास्ट जो पॉइंट है, टर्न राइट बाय अल्टरनेटिंग हेडिंग टू राइट.
तो आपको सामने वाले को जगह रास्ता कैसे देना है? आप तो पीछे हो तो आपको अपना हेडिंग राइट कर लेना है. इंक्रीज योर हेडिंग टू द राइट.
सर जैसे हम कार ड्राइव करते हैं रोड के ऊपर, जैसे कोई कार पीछे से हॉर्न दे रहा है तो हम अपनी गाड़ी को थोड़ा लेफ्ट कर देंगे, उसको रास्ता दे देंगे जाने के लिए. तो सर इसमें मैं थोड़ा कंफ्यूज हूँ कि कैसे पीछे वाले को राइट कैसे कर.
पीछे वाला खुद से राइट चले जाएगा, उसको करना है, कैसे क्या करना है, ऐसे कर लो बस। कंफ्यूजन क्या है? उसको अपनी स्पीड नहीं चेंज करनी है, उसको अपना लेवल चेंज नहीं करना है, उसको बस हेडिंग राइट में कर लेने हैं।
तो सर जो आगे वाला है वो सेम जा रहा है, उसको कुछ नहीं चेंज करना, बस पीछे वाले को राइट होकर निकल जाना है।
बस उतना ही करना है।
ओके, थैंक यू।
आप बोल रहे हो कि सर उससे क्या होगा? उससे यू विल नो लॉन्गर बी एन ओवरटेकिंग एयरक्राफ्ट फॉर दैट एयरक्राफ्ट। ऐसा हो जाता है। And जब आप ओवरटेकिंग हो ही नहीं, देन यू फॉलो योर पाथ। ऐसा हो जाता है।
ओके सर।
प्रॉब्लम क्या है यहाँ पे ओवरटेकिंग में स्टूडेंट्स? प्रॉब्लम इज सच दैट you will not be able to spot the aircraft ahead of you. At least you will not be able to spot properly their nav lights, right and left. But उनका tail light तो आपको शायद दिख जाएगा। But then आपको headlight दिख रहा है या tail light दिख रहा है? Headlight is not the word used. There are landing lights, taxi lights, runway turn off light जो आगे लगती हैं। But still, so in order to understand if these are two aircrafts like this, so this is overtaking aircraft. Okay, so this has the right of way. कॉमन सेंस है। यहाँ ही हमारा रेगुलेशन कंफ्यूज हो जाता है, बोलते हैं ये ऑब्वियस चीजों को क्या घुमा फिरा के दिया है यहाँ पे। घुमा फिरा के नहीं है, वो इन डेप्थ दिया है वो लोग ने विद रिस्पेक्ट टू द हाईएस्ट लेवल ऑफ इंग्लिश, ऑक्सफोर्ड लेवल्स। अपना ऑक्सफोर्ड एविएशन नहीं, ऑक्सफोर्ड ऑक्सफोर्ड एज इन दी ओरिजिन लाइक इंग्लिश। तो हेडिंग वेडिंग कुछ नहीं चेंज करना है, रिलेटिव पोजीशन भी चेंज नहीं करनी है। सॉरी, हेडिंग नहीं, स्पीड वेट लेवल कुछ नहीं चेंज करना है, रिलेटिव पोजीशन भी चेंज नहीं करनी है। आपको बस अपनी हेडिंग राइट में कर लेनी है, दैट्स इट। तो क्या होगा, धीरे धीरे आप हेडिंग राइट में कर लोगे, आपकी एयरक्राफ्ट यहाँ आ जाएगी, फिर आपकी एयरक्राफ्ट यहाँ आ जाएगी, फिर आपकी एयरक्राफ्ट यहाँ आ जाएगी, और ये एयरक्राफ्ट तब तक यहाँ चला जाएगा। तो आप दोनों अभी एक दूसरे के ओवरटेक नहीं कर रहे हो ना, ऐसा हो जाता है। सो ये एयरक्राफ्ट धीरे धीरे यहाँ पहुंच जाएगी, और ये एयरक्राफ्ट धीरे धीरे यहाँ रहेगी। तो ये हो गया, कोलिजन अवॉइडेंस हो गया फॉर ओवरटेकिंग एयरक्राफ्ट। समझ रहे हो आप गुरप्रीत?
यस सर।
अभी भी नहीं समझे?
सर अंडरस्टैंड।
बोलो क्या बोल रहे हो।
नो सर, मैंने कुछ नहीं कहा, बस अभी थोड़ा अच्छी तरह क्लियर हो गया सर विद डायग्राम।
स्टूडेंट्स, क्या होगा अगर आप राइट में नहीं जाओगे? व्हाट विल हैपन इफ यू डोंट गो ऑन द राइट? इफ यू डोंट गो ऑन द राइट, वो एयरक्राफ्ट आगे चली गई, आप फिर भी यहाँ हो। वो एयरक्राफ्ट आगे चली गई, फिर भी आप यहाँ हो। वो एयरक्राफ्ट आगे चली गई, फिर भी आप यहाँ हो। इट्स अ रिस्की सिचुएशन। समझ गए? वहां रहना ही नहीं आपको, ऐसा हो जाता है। एक डिस्टेंस रहता है, वो डिस्टेंस तक ही ये होता है। वो डिस्टेंस के बियॉन्ड अ सर्टेन डिस्टेंस टू एयरक्राफ्ट कैन बी एग्जैक्टली ऑपोजिट टू ईच अदर, स्टिल नॉट कॉन्फ्लिक्ट और इंक्रीज कोलिजन चांसेस। स्टूडेंट्स, जब जब आपको कुछ नहीं समझ आ रहा है, खुल के बताओ क्या नहीं समझ रहा है। गुरप्रीत, अभी भी लास्ट टाइम पूछ रहा हूँ, यहाँ समझ क्या नहीं रहा है आपको, अगर ऐसा कुछ है तो।
नो सर, अभी क्लियर हो गया है सारा कंसेप्ट, पहले थोड़ा सा डिफिकल्ट लग रहा था
पहले
अभी।
क्या कंफ्यूजन थी? पहले ये समझ क्यों नहीं आया आपको डायरेक्टली?
पहले सर मेरे को ये लग रहा था कि जो फ्रंट वाला, मतलब इसको राइट क्यों होना है, पीछे वाले को राइट, तो उसने तो उसको क्रॉस करना ही नहीं है पहली सिचुएशन, तो ये इसको क्रॉस ही नहीं करना है। तो सेकंड अगर क्रॉस करना है तो फ्रंट वाले को, जैसे हम रूटीनली कार ड्राइव करते हैं, जो फ्रंट वाली गाड़ी होती है वो उसको साइड देती है, देन बिहाइंड कार पास करती है उसको पीछे वाली गाड़ी।
गुरप्रीत, कैसा है ना, लॉजिक हम कुछ कुछ रीजनल ट्रांसपोर्ट अपने रोड से उठा सकते हैं, सारे लॉजिक एप्लीकेबल है ही नहीं। वो रोड का रूल है
सर
कि,
आई नो वो रोड का रूल है, पर उससे मैं
सुनो तो
ज्यादा
सही,
प्रोग्रेसिव हूँ ना सर।
उसमें आप ओवरटेक करने के लिए सोच रहे हो, यहाँ
जी।
ओवरटेकिंग अलाउड ही नहीं है। वो आप रूल भूल रहे हो जो हमने प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ प्रॉपर्टी में रीड किया था। नो एयरक्राफ्ट इज अलाउड टू ओवरटेक एनी अदर एयरक्राफ्ट। ओवरटेकिंग के लिए राइट ले ही नहीं रहे हैं। आप सोच रहे हो मैं राइट क्यों ले रहा हूं जब मुझे ओवरटेक करना ही नहीं है। आप ओवरटेकिंग के लिए राइट नहीं ले रहे हो। आप बोल रहे हो सर मैं गाड़ियों में तो राइट लेफ्ट लेता हूं ताकि ओवरटेक करने दो दूसरे लोगों को। ओवरटेक यहाँ पे अलाउड नहीं है, अलाउड ही नहीं है। तो वो राइट टर्न ओवरटेकिंग के लिए है ही नहीं, वो राइट टर्न कोलिजन अवॉइडेंस के लिए, जो ऑटोमेटिक मिल जाएगा आपको अगर आप बस
ओके।
राइट में जाओगे तो। ये राइट में जाने का रूल इंस्टेंट डिसीजन मेकिंग रूल है। इंस्टेंटली जब आपको ये सब फील होता है, क्या करोगे? पहले राइट चले जाओ, फिर एटीसी को बोलो, एटीसी आपको लेवल चेंज देगा बाद में। समझ रहे हो?
ओके सर।
वहां गाड़ियों को साइड इसलिए मिलती है ताकि ओवरटेक कर सके, यहाँ ओवरटेक ना करने के लिए साइड दे रहे, साइड दे नहीं रहे हम लोग, उनको बोल रहे हैं आप जल्दी से राइट में चले जाओ बस। कितना राइट में जाएंगे? 10 नॉटिकल माइल्स का आपका एयरवे होगा तो आपको गैप मिलेगा अच्छा खासा। 10 नॉटिकल माइल्स इज लाइक 20 किलोमीटर जितना विड्थ है, और लगभग आपका एक एयरक्राफ्ट थोड़ी ना 1 किलोमीटर जितना लंबा होता है। थोड़ा सा राइट चले जाओ, तब तब तक आपको आगे के एयरक्राफ्ट के नैव लाइट्स दिखे। आपको आगे का एयरक्राफ्ट दिख रहा है मतलब आप लोग बहुत क्लोज हो। वो एयरक्राफ्ट अपना 10 नॉट भी स्पीड कम कर लेता है, और आप 10 नॉट भी स्पीड बढ़ा लेते हो, चांसेस हैं कि यू विल कोलाइड विद दैट एयरक्राफ्ट इन एयर। और कोलिजन ऐसा नहीं होगा, कोलिजन 70 डिग्री तक है ना, तो ये भी कोलिड हो सकते हैं, दोनों के विंग टिप्स भी हो सकते हैं कोलाइड। तो हम क्या बोल रहे हैं भाई साहब, आप बस ये लाइन से निकल जाओ पहले, बाद में एटीसी से बात कर लो। तो ये लेन में कैसे, लेन से कैसे निकलना है, ये रिस्की लेन से कैसे निकलना है इस एयरक्राफ्ट के पीछे, राइट में जाके निकलना है इस। तब तक निकल जाओ जब तक सामने वाले की आपको राइट लाइट, ग्रीन लाइट ना दिखेगी। ग्रीन दिख गई मतलब यू आर सेफ। बस इससे ज्यादा क्या सीखना है आपको? क्या नहीं समझ आ रहा है अभी? सबको
ओके
पूछ
सर,
रहा हूँ मैं।
क्लियर क्लियर सर।
मुझे अभी भी नहीं लग रहा क्लियर है, बट ठीक है।
नहीं सर, अभी ठीक है, अभी अच्छे से समझ आ गया।
प्रॉब्लम ये है कि फर्स्ट टाइम में क्यों नहीं समझ आ रहा है, उस पर भी काम करना है। धीरे धीरे बिल्ड करना है ताकि सब कुछ फर्स्ट टाइम में समझ आ जाए। इस चीज की ऐसी आदत नहीं डालनी है कि हर चीज पे इतना टाइम लगना चाहिए, बट डोंट डोंट शाई इन आस्किंग अवे, बट व्हाई कॉम्प्रोमाइज विद आंसर्स? भले आधा घंटा लगे एक डाउट पे, तुम दूसरों का मत टेंशन लो।
ओके
एटलीस्ट
सर।
समबडी इज आस्किंग, राइट? मेरे टोन पे नहीं जाने का स्टूडेंट्स हो गए, नहीं तो तुम लोग को, नहीं तो यू विल ऑल्सो बी रूड देन, ऐसा हो जाता है बाय डिफॉल्ट, एंड देन आई कैन नॉट सस्टेन दैट। But yeah, any doubts? Everybody got to know. Suchita is asking. I think someone is asking in the chat box. I think it's Suchita or Nandini. I think it's Nandini. Does the same rule follow on ground? On ground, the rule number one to be followed is that you will not overtake any aircraft, no matter what. You cannot turn right. You cannot turn left because on ground there is nothing called as heading. Right? You have to all follow one taxiway. The only way, with respect to this diagram that I had made for runway holding point, the only way number 3 aircraft can be given departure before number 1 is if I could be given an entry from inside and then backtrack and then align to take off. This can be allowed. This is not overtaking. An alternate path can be given to give you first priority, but overtaking is not possible on ground. So turning right, turning left is not a case. Just stay behind. Don't worry. Just stay exactly behind. 0 degree. That is where you have to be. Do nothing else. What you could do is don't go close to that aircraft. Simple. So keep that proximity point clear. स्टूडेंट्स जो भी डाउट से पूछ लो भाई, लाइव क्लास का फायदा उठाओ। गुरप्रीत उठा रहे धीरे धीरे फायदा, ही स्टिल शाय बट ही इज बीइंग रिस्पॉन्सिबल, सो आई डोंट माइंड। नंदिनी आज, सुचिता आज, गुड। ज्योत्सना नहीं पूछ रही, रोहिता नहीं पूछती, नुकुल नहीं पूछता है, प्रेरित नहीं पूछता है, हेमंत नहीं पूछता है डाउट्स। स्टूडेंट्स आस्क, स्टार्ट आस्किंग, फोर्स, जबरदस्ती कुछ पूछ लो, मेक इट दैट हैबिट नाउ। ऑल ओके, एवरीबडी इन सिंक? कुछ चाहिए किसी को एक्स्ट्रा? शैल वी कंटिन्यू? लैंडिंग एयरक्राफ्ट का सिंपल है, ऑल एयरक्राफ्ट शुड गिव वे टू एयरक्राफ्ट which is in its final approach stage for landing. If you are at runway holding point, if you are flying over an aerodrome, if you are in the ATC circuit, no matter where you are, if you see an landing aircraft in its final approaches, like short finals, maybe long finals, whichever the case is, and if you are not in that approach, then you give way to the landing aircraft. So all aircraft should give way to aircraft in its final approaches. When two aircrafts are on final approach stages, final approach just doesn't mean finals. You saw what is finals ATC circuit from yesterday. Nandini, are you aware? Finals, long finals, 0 to 4, 4 to 8. That
Yes,
is the
sir.
segment. Those aircrafts are considered as the aircraft in the final segment or stage of approach. So you will give way to those aircraft. When two aircrafts are on final approach stages, like two aircrafts are simultaneously like, okay, which will go first? They are both planning to land. Then aircraft higher will give way to aircraft lower. याद रखना, जो aircraft ऊपर है, let's say 2,500 feet, and this aircraft is 1,500 feet. They both are approaching finals. So this aircraft will go first. But it doesn't mean that this aircraft is high, this aircraft is low, but this is first. It doesn't mean the lower aircraft will go first and land. That is not allowed. Still जो आगे रहेगा उसको ही परमिशन मिलेगी. आप बीच में से गलती मत करना. बट जनरली दोनों में से जो नीचे होता है उसको पहले प्रायोरिटी मिलती है. तो जो नीचे है इसको प्रायोरिटी मिल रही है तो ये थोड़ा होल्ड कर सकता है, गो अराउंड कर सकता है, इसको भेज सकता है. Why? Because the proximity with ground is high, and if they don't land, probably then they could do overshoot, undershoot, or whatever. So when two or more heavier than air aircraft are approaching an aerodrome for the purpose of landing, approaching an aerodrome for purpose of landing, not directly on finals. Finals for a runway, दो aircraft एक साथ आएंगे ही नहीं. But they both are approaching to get onto the final stages for the purpose of landing. Aircraft at the higher level shall give way to the aircraft at the lower level. But the aircraft at the lower level should not take advantage of this rule to cut in front of another aircraft which is in its final stages to approach or land, or to overtake the aircraft. Not allowed. So yaad rakhna. Nevertheless, power driven heavier than aircraft will always give way to gliders. Isliye a glider on base leg also gets priority in your RT calls when you are at runway holding point for departure. Heavier than air aircrafts will always give priority to gliders no matter where they are. If they are close to the landing stages, give them priority. Close to the landing stages में base leg भी आएगा, finals भी आएगा, long finals भी आएगा for gliders. So you wait, you alternate, you manipulate your speed and do a go around or something like that. So emergency landing is something that we'll be doing. But before that, write down power driven को PD लिखते हैं, heavier than air को HA लिख देते हैं. Power driven, heavier than air, just for our sake. This is not an aviation approved abbreviation. Power driven, heavier than air shall give way to gliders. This is for landing, remember. Converging में भी glider को आपको देना ही है, but पहले airship, फिर glider, फिर balloons. ऐसे होता है. एयरशिप नहीं है तो ग्लाइडर को देना है, ग्लाइडर नहीं है तो बलून को देना है, आपको तो तीनों को वे देना है. What about emergency landing? What do you think? Let me ask this open question. If you are approaching for landing, but you are aware that there is an emergency with an aircraft that is going to land, who will get the right of way in this case? You or that aircraft?
Aircraft having emergency.
Common sense. अब बोला आपको regulations पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है इस चीज में. Suchita is right. For an emergency landing, an aircraft that is aware that another aircraft is compelled to land, then you or that aircraft which is aware shall give way to that aircraft. Clear? Gurpreet? Prerit?
Yes, sir.
Jyotsna, you are also right.
Affirm,
Aircraft
sir.
in emergency. As per CR section 9. Remember, rules of the air. Section 9 क्या है? Air space and air navigation service standards. भूलना मत ये चीज. सबसे मुश्किल चीज याद रखनी ये हो जाती है सेक्शन 9 है क्या. एग्जाम में आंसर नहीं कर पाते हम लोग क्योंकि we take it for granted. We are taking CAR for granted generally. हाँ, दिमाग में सिर्फ रूल्स ऑफ द एयर ही रह जाता है, ये नॉमेनक्लेचर नहीं रहता जो ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है फॉर द सेक ऑफ एग्जाम्स। तुम्हें दोनों चीजें याद रखनी है, इसलिए आई एम एम्फसाइजिंग एवरी डे, रिमेंबर दीज डॉक्यूमेंट नेम्स। गुड। During takeoff, an aircraft taxiing on the maneuvering area of an aerodrome shall give way to the aircraft taking off or about to take off. An aircraft taxiing on a maneuvering area. Maneuvering area क्या होता है? Who will tell me? Why is only Suchita able to answer? Because she
Taxiway.
revised. प्रेरित, नंदिनी, ज्योत्सना, गुड जॉब। नुकुल तो सीधा एकदम, मैं तो घुस रहा हूं अंदर। बोलो नुकुल, सबने हाथ ऊपर करे, आप बोलो, आपने स्टार्ट कर दिया।
So the taxiway and takeoff and landing area.
टैक्सी वे नहीं बोलेंगे, यू आर राइट, बट स्टिक टू द डेफिनेशन। The areas of the aerodrome used for taxiing, takeoff, and landing. That is maneuvering area. So whenever an aircraft is taxiing on the maneuvering area, maneuvering area में runway भी आता है, सिर्फ टैक्सी वे नहीं आएंगे फिर, राइट? अगर आप टैक्सी कर रहे हो मनीवरिंग एरिया में, मतलब एप्रन पे आप नहीं हो, पुशबैक नहीं हो रहा है, पुशबैक खत्म होते ही आपका मनीवरिंग एरिया चालू हो जाता है। सो आपका एप्रन तो वैसे ही बहुत छोटा सा हिस्सा होता है, एवरीथिंग एल्स इज मनीवरिंग एरिया। An aircraft taxiing on the maneuvering area, Nukul, you are right, okay, very good. An aircraft taxiing on a maneuvering area of an aerodrome shall give way to aircraft taking or about to take off. Remember. अभी कोई बोलेगा, sir, what if I'm taxiing, backtracking on the runway and there is an aircraft taking off? This is runway incursion. This is head on. You both should not be here. You definitely give way to them, but don't stop there because they will need the entire length and they might just collide with you. So वहां पे वो applicable नहीं होगा. That is an emergency situation. Made in that case, you have to exit the runway quickly. ATC दे रहा है तो ठीक है, नहीं तो खुद देख के चले जाओ जहां क्लियर है और वहां रुक जाओ, बिना देखे तो कहीं जाना नहीं है. So be careful about such situations, okay? So this taxiing on the maneuvering area, when an aircraft is about to take off or taking off, the runway would be clear of this particular taxiing area. So आप कहीं भी टैक्सी कर रहे हो, टेक ऑफ वाले को टेक ऑफ लेने दो, आप रुक जाओ. Sometimes you'll be taxiing to cross the runway also. Simple. Let's talk about surface movement of the aircraft. Very simple thing to understand. Similar points. Okay? But what are the differences? And then you have to talk about, what do we say, some simulated flights. And then you have to talk about what happens in the vicinity of the aerodrome. And then you can talk about the surface movement. Now, whenever the aircrafts are on the movement area and there is a danger of collision between two aircraft which are taxiing on the movement area, who will define what is movement area? Anyone? Prerit, movement area?
Sir, it includes maneuvering area plus apron area.
Makes sense. Jyotsna, what's your answer?
So it's in that part of an aerodrome to be used for the takeoff, landing, and taxiing of the aircraft, which consists of the maneuvering and the aprons.
Perfect. Both are correct. Jyotsna, perfection is there. Prerit, ठीक है आंसर. Jyotsna, well said. सही बोला आपने. मस्त बोला एकदम. Very happy. So whenever that happens, even though you are on an apron or maneuvering area, how to avoid collision? It can happen during pushback, it can happen during parking, it can happen anytime. So when two aircraft are approaching head-on or approximately, each shall stop or wherever practicable, alter its course to the right. So जब अब हमसे Nandini was asking, in that case, stop the aircraft. And if you know that stopping the aircraft is not just going to protect you from collision because the other aircraft could be coming to you, then the only thing that you have to do possibly is just go to the right. If possibility is there for you to go to the right, like right में building है तो building में नहीं घुसाओगे आप, right? But then as close as you can, then you will go on the right. So ये right easy यहाँ पे भी रहेगा. Next point, when two aircraft are on the converging course, like taxiing and on the converging course, one which has the other on the right shall give way. Same rule follow हो रहा है. जो left में है वो उसको देगा. So if you are taxiing, they are taxiing, stop and let them taxi. Simple. About overtaking, an aircraft which is being overtaken by another aircraft shall have the right of way, and the overtaking aircraft shall keep well clear of the other aircraft. Simple है, proximity रखो, जो आगे है उसको ही पहले permission मिलने वाली है. You cannot overtake. What is the description of overtaking aircraft? An aircraft that is within less than 70% of the plane of symmetry of the aircraft ahead, from where the right and left nav lights cannot be seen. That is overtaking aircraft. Remember that. All 3 points noted. Simple. Head on ground, stop, and if have to, then alter the course to the right. Converging, the one on the right will get away. You just stop and let them go, and then you continue. जो रास्ते पे करते हो वैसा ही कुछ. Ground पे तो रुक सकता है. And then third, overtaking, no overtaking, and keep your distance clear. The one ahead will always get right of way. An aircraft taxiing on the maneuvering area shall stop and hold at all runway holding positions unless otherwise authorized by the tower. ये आप लोग को इससे RT याद आ रहा है, students? Gurpreet, can you remember RT through this point? Gurpreet गया, खाना वाना खा रहा लगता है.
Sir, which point please explain?
Sorry.
Sir, actually I didn't clear the point.
देखो गुरप्रीत, अगर दो काम कर रहे हो एक साथ तो गलत बात है. आई अप्रिशिएट यू ट्राइंग टू स्टडी, बट आधा टाइम आपका वेस्ट होगा. आप रिकॉर्डिंग के थ्रू एक्सेस कर सकते हो. मैं अच्छे से बता रहा हूँ. आई एम नॉट जजिंग यू, आई एम जस्ट सेइंग. कोई पॉइंट नहीं है फिर लाइव लेक्चर अटेंड करके. ध्यान रखना उस चीज का. जस्ट सेइंग. अभी ऐसे बोलने आप कर रहे हो, समय आपकी बात पे ध्यान नहीं था तो क्लास में क्यों बैठे हो भाई? ऐसा ही जवाब मिलेगा ना. ऑब्वियस है. फिर जाओ ना, जो काम जरूरी है वो करके आओ ना. ये तो लेक्चर आपके पास है ही. अटेंडेंस का तो कोई इशू है नहीं. स्टूडेंट्स आर गेटिंग वन ऑफ द बेस्ट प्रोविजंस इन द वर्ल्ड दैट वे. क्लास आओ ना हो, आपकी पढ़ाई नहीं रुकनी है और लेवल ऑफ ट्रेनिंग नहीं चेंज होना है. तो आपके तो बल्ले बल्ले ही है यहाँ पे. कितनी इंपॉर्टेंट चीज मैं कनेक्ट कर रहा हूँ और बच्चा मेरे को बोला मेरा ध्यान नहीं है. कोई बात नहीं. बी प्रैक्टिकल एंड बी मैच्योर. लेंदी सेशन है, आपको बहुत कुछ संभालना है. मेरे को पता है टाइम नहीं होती. चले जाया करो ना, जहां से मिस किया है वहां से उठा लेना शाम को. फिर क्यों इतना स्ट्रगल कर रहे हो? दो बोट में रह के क्या फायदा? क्या करोगे? स्ट्रेच हो जाओगे, बॉडी के दो टुकड़े हो जाएंगे फिर. Nandini, what did I just say? All aircrafts are supposed to hold its position, stop and hold at runway holding points. What are runway holding points? The point where the taxiway and the entry inside the runway are merging. There is a small gap between there, and the color coding is done with respect to lines and markings. No matter what, by default, you hold on to that position unless you have been asked to do otherwise by tower, because tower has authority over the runway. You need final confirmation from aerodrome control tower, TWR. You need final confirmation from tower to ask if we can get inside the runway or not. So if you have been taxiing with respect to tower or ground till runway holding point, you stay there if you have not been instructed ahead. No matter what, you will be given a terminal of your taxi during departure, pre-departure. The terminal would be holding point. After holding point, you get shifted to tower if you were not with tower, and then tower will tell you whether you should enter or not. Aren't these rules something that we learn in RT? Was the simple question. Apart from Nandini, everybody should be able to give me that answer. ठीक है, क्वेश्चन नहीं समझ आया, मैं समझ सकता हूँ. ध्यान नहीं था, होता है, सबके साथ होता है. But that happens when we are multitasking or we are distracted. जो भी है, काम करते हैं इसमें बस. Now we have question, how aircrafts are following these rules in air? If they are in emergency in air, are they exempted from these rules? Remember the first point I said, there is no exemption to be followed when you have to follow rules to avoid collisions. इमरजेंसी है बट कोलिजन वाले रूल्स हैं तो कोलिजन वाले रूल्स फॉलो करो। इमरजेंसी है, लैंडिंग में हो तो आपको लैंडिंग मिल जाएगी, बिकॉज रूल्स ही आपको लैंड करने में मजबूर करने वाले हैं, लाइक हेल्प करने वाले हैं। इन केस ऐसी कोई इमरजेंसी आ जाती है कि आपको वो रूल फॉलो करने से कोलिजन हो रहा है, तो वो रूल आप फॉलो मत करना बस। ये आपको कौन सा रूल सिखाता है? ये आपको हमने एप्लीकेबिलिटी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑफ द पीआईसी में ही सिखाया। तो ये भी वही है, द ओनली टाइम यू विल डिपार्चर फ्रॉम द रूल्स ऑफ द एयर। सो इसका आंसर यहाँ आता है वो फर्स्ट पॉइंट पे, जो इट्स वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन। कनेक्ट इट टू गेट द आंसर्स बाय योर सेल्फ ऑल्सो इन द लॉन्ग रन। अगर मेरा सेफ्टी इम्पैक्ट हो रहा है ये रूल फॉलो करने से ड्यूरिंग इमरजेंसी, ओनली देन पीआईसी हैज द अथॉरिटी टू डेविएट फ्रॉम रूल्स, ओनली देन। सो यहाँ पे आपको आपका आंसर मिल गया। बट कोलिजन अवॉइडेंस रूल स्टेट किसी को एग्जाम्पशन नहीं है ये फॉलो करने से। सो विच विल ओवर पावर? द फर्स्ट वन विल ओवर पावर इन केस राइट जाने से मेरा कोलिजन हो रहा है हेड ऑन में। समझ रहे आप लोग? ज्योत्सना गेटिंग इट? वेरी गुड। नंदिनी एनी कंफ्यूजन? गुरप्रीत एनी कंफ्यूजन? प्रेरित, रोहिता, ज्योत्सना, अनुकुल? ना है तो कुछ नहीं बोलोगे, चल जाएगा। एक्नॉलेजमेंट क्या है ना स्टूडेंट, सुबह सुबह चाहिए होता है, शुरू के फर्स्ट 10-15 मिनट्स, सो दैट वी गेट एक्टिव, वी गेट इनटू द सिंक, वी हैव अ गुड रपो, वी आर इन द सेम पेज। बाद में तो तुम्हें पता है आगे एक्नॉलेजमेंट कैसे होंगे, कुछ ना नहीं बोलोगे मतलब मैं समझ जाऊंगा, बट सेशन के शुरुआत में पता चल जाता है सही जा रहे हो नहीं जा रहे हो। अगर मैं वो तभी चेक नहीं करूँ और चलते रहो ना तो बॉन्कर्स ही निकल जाएगा पूरा सेशन। 4 घंटे वेस्ट तुमने किया लाइव, फिर वो 4 तुम वापस रिकॉर्डिंग में डालोगे, कितना बैकलॉग बढ़ेगा तुम्हारा। कौन सोचता है इतना स्टूडेंट्स के बारे में आजकल? एरोड्रोम कंट्रोल टावर, मजाक में मत लेना ये वर्ड्स, ठीक है? डोंट टेक इट फॉर ग्रांटेड। Who can tell me what is section 4 of CAR?
एरोड्रोम स्टैंडर्ड
Aerodrome standard and license.
लाइसेंसिंग।
तो रनवे होल्डिंग पॉइंट कहाँ मिलेंगे मुझे? मार्किंग्स ऑफ रनवे होल्डिंग पॉइंट्स, सेक्शन 4। गुरप्रीत एंड नुकुल, वेरी गुड, बहुत जल्दी दिया आंसर तुमने, वेरी हैप्पी टू हियर दैट। आई नो यू आर करेक्ट बिकॉज आई नो रनवे होल्डिंग पॉइंट मार्किंग्स उसमें होती हैं, और जो आपने टाइटल बोला करेक्ट, एरोड्रोम स्टैंडर्ड्स। सी कीवर्ड्स, मेरे को बुक देखने की जरूरत भी नहीं है। You are also learning the same thing, so I'm just saying that good for us. A very important point now. Suchita has a disconnection. I thought she'll reconnect. An aircraft taxiing on the maneuvering area shall stop and hold at all lighted stop bars and may proceed further when the lights are switched off. अब ये कोई नई चीज है, ये भी आपके एरोड्रोम पे होता है, लाइटेड स्टॉप बार्स। Now these could be like these bars of light on the ground, or these could be like lights like this on the ground at the end of your taxiways, runway holding points, and so on. And when they are illuminated and indicating stop, then you should stop. And when the lights are off, you should go on. So these are not like signal lights. Victor Tango Sierra Sierra Mike, how do you read?
Read you 5, sir.
Good. So you're talking about lighted stop bars. These could be lights like this or lights like this, only to indicate that the aircraft has to stop. These would be strategically located. If this is my taxiway, then these could be located here, or this could be located here, wherever place. If these are lighted, as in if they are on, then the aircraft should stop just before that. If they are on, and when they are off, the aircraft should continue going. Signals में क्या होता है? Red means stop, green means go. यहाँ on means stop, off means go. Different runways have those lights, like all aerodromes have those lights along with runway markings. Next time you're flying, try to get a window seat during departure. Just look out for all the runway markings and lights and names of taxiways and runway. You will see green, black, yellow, white are the color codes. The runways are having separate color codes, taxiway are having separate color codes, and then you will see the stoplight bars also small here and there. Just see if the aircraft, when it is holding, if there is a light that is on, that could be a stoplight at a runway holding point.
Sir, where is this light located?
It will be on the sidelines of your ground paths, taxiways, runways, or kahin hoga.
And sir, if during day they have to stop.
During day also they will be lighted.
Okay.
There are two ways. Either ATC will tell you to stop at a particular point of intersection, you can stop, or else just be watchful about lights when you're proceeding. If there is a stoplight, you stop and tell ATC that I've observed a stoplight. I'm stopping and holding position. Request further instruction. They'll be like, Roger. They'll turn it off and ask you to continue, or they'll ask you to continue. If they're asking you to continue with the stoplights on, tell them, are you sure I should go ahead because the stoplight is on? Who's put the stoplight on then? If it's not you, then you'll be like, oh, the second level of verification you are doing. So it's something new for the first time you are seeing. It's just like आपको important junctions पे signal मिलते हैं, तो ये stoplight generally आपको intersections and junctions पे ही मिलेंगे. Generally, where the risk of intersection or convergence is high. Following students. So the navigation lights will give you relative position of the aircraft, whether it's coming to you, going away from you, right, left, green or red देख के आप बता सकते हो right, left है क्या है. These lights that are to be displayed on the aircraft shall be on from sunset to sunrise. Okay. No exceptions are there. If exceptions are there, then fine. Other than that, all aircraft should have main lights. What are those lights? Number one, anti-collision lights. Why are anti-collision lights used? To grab attention of another aircraft. The two red lights, top and bottom. Navigation lights, why do we use? For indication of relative path of the aircraft to an observer. And similar to nav lights, no other light should be attached so that people should not get confused. Now landing lights, airframe flood lights, they can be used along with anti-collision lights, but they should be used with respect to airworthiness technical manual, which is doc 9051. So keep that in mind. You have the text, you will be going through this. इतना important तो नहीं है, but it means using of landing lights and airframe floodlights. ये floodlights है ना, आपके airframe को illuminate करने के लिए होती हैं. ये wing tip के ऊपर होती हैं और आपके horizontal stabilizer के ऊपर होती हैं. Like the lights are here so that they can illuminate the branding of the and the logo of the airliner. ठीक है, वो floodlights होती हैं. Simple. Landing lights are here on the wingtips over here, landing lights. These lights can be allowed along with anti-call lights. Okay. But as per the airworthiness technical manual, ATM, airworthiness technical manual, आ सकता है. To enhance aircraft conspicuity, मतलब confusion नहीं होनी चाहिए. Except as provided here and there from sunset to sunrise or during any other prescribed by Director General. Sunset to sunrise definition of night. All aircraft moving on the movement area of an aerodrome shall display navigation lights indicated or intended to indicate the relative path of the aircraft to an observer and other lights shall not be displayed if they are likely to be mistaken for these lights. Simple. सबके पास nav lights होनी चाहिए जब आप movement area पे हो. Unless you are stationary and properly illuminated, when you are on the movement area of an aerodrome, you need to have lights on that indicate the extreme parts of your aircraft. So the wingtips are extreme parts. You need to have the landing lights, nav lights, not landing lights, nav lights. You don't have a light here, but you have a light here at the tail. That is the white nav light. But along with this nav lights, I told you there's one more thing, that is strobe lights. So these strobe lights that are flashing white lights, these are these lights that show the extreme ends of an aircraft whenever you're on the movement area. Strobe lights will catch attention. Flashing lights will catch attention. Strobe means flashing. So they show you the extreme edges of the aircraft. That's the purpose of strobe light. Very few people in the world will be able to answer this. If anybody says strobe light क्या है तो आप बोल देना ये तो nav light को illuminate करने के लिए होता है. No, nav light अपने आप में red and green काफी है. So what is the strobe light doing on the wingtip? It is there so that the extreme ends of the aircraft can be illuminated. All aircraft operating on the movement area of an aerodrome shall display lights intended to attract attention of the aircraft or to the aircraft, that is anti-call lights. All aircraft on the movement area of an aerodrome whose engines are running shall display lights which indicate that fact. When engines are running or when the aircraft is live, I would say, even if the parking brakes are on, if engines are on, you need all your external lights on, at least anti-call, nav and strobe. nav नहीं कर रहे हो तो anti-call और strobe करना है आपको. ये दो lights बहुत जरूरी है. So whenever we were doing, like my first experience was with something like this only. So the senior, he told me, अच्छे से कर लो. I'm like, I'm not going to touch anything. I think it was a Airbus 319er. I'm like, I'm not going to touch anything. I'm not confident. Then they gave me some other job. They told me to do an extended transit, I remember. I like, transit में मेरे को मत दो आप लोग. I told them like in a very good way. I've just joined you. Don't give me such important task. They're like, just do it. I'm like, no. Then they thought, like, one of the seniors, he taught me like, they're like, ऐसे करते हैं. I remember one time I was not trained and I was trying to do an engine startup 319er. And there is a step like battery, APU, then detach the battery, then through APU, you do these things, check, and then start that engine. I got confused. And if you do it wrong, then on an instant, your battery can drain if you do it wrong. So that's why you have to follow the proper checklist. I tried and I'm like, I'm not doing it till the time somebody trains me. You would be thinking, sir, क्या बात करो आपको एक पे खुला छोड़ दिया? What do I tell you? What we have seen. There was one time I was just there helping some engineers with RT and they were manipulating the controls, two of them. I was very young, okay? I was like just happy to get an opportunity to do some of the other things. I'm in the third seat on the door. I used to hate that. I used to feel insulted being on that seat. बच्चों को क्या पता, right? Now I would do anything to sit there also, like because I understand it's not a bad seat to be. But there I was like, ठीक है यार, अपने पास experience नहीं इसलिए बिठाया अपन को वहाँ पे. But then the engineers, okay, like of course they don't fly, but they can taxi. They were checking, and it was just that we were on the runway, and they're like 50% thrust, and they all just wanted to take off there, you know. And like they were cracking jokes about it, like take off तो कर लेंगे, landing नहीं करने देंगे फिर क्या कहाँ जाएंगे. So that feel, you know, those things when you are there, we are so close. Everything is knowledge, students. Your career is knowledge. Regulations is nothing. You're living, following rules of the society. Did you study rules of the society? Did you study law? But you know the rules. Regulations is like that. Reading regulations gives you information like that, how to survive a basic survival in civil aviation. This is basic survival, which we all know in our terms, own terms. So yeah, everything is important. Everything is practical. Everything is practical. So you need to know which lights to turn on before you do a basic engine idle power run-up also. For your RT calls, you can get a situation. You request idle power run-up, but they say your exterior lights are off, nav lights are off, anti-core lights are off, strobe lights are off. What to do? We'll check, call back again, cancel request for idle power run-up. Simple. Then say I've fixed my lights, I've turned them on. Give me the request and I'll get the request and I'll do it. It's like that. So ATC will scan if your anti-call lights are on, strobe lights are on while doing an idle power run-up. If they are not on, then chances are some people might run into the path of the engine and get sucked into the engine. But if they are on, people on the aerodrome know. Strobe light चल रहा है, वहाँ aircraft live है, वो area में मत जाओ. Anti-call light चल रहा है, वो area में मत जाओ. It is that easy for everybody on the aerodrome to avoid aircrafts that are live because of strobe lights and anti-call lights. This is why I'm emphasizing more, because this is true with surface movement. I'm sharing experiences with surface movement because that is something you will never get to see because you're directly going to get into flying, right? So I'm expanding your knowledge base. Got the logic? अभी प्लीज इस पे MCQs आएंगे, कंफ्यूज नहीं होना है. और इसमें मेमोराइज करने जैसा कुछ है नहीं, समझने वाली सारी बात है. Anti-collision lights will be red, remember. And remember, the light should be such, strobe and all, they should catch attention, but they should not cause harmful dazzle. Dazzle. Now, this dazzling word we used to use a lot in school. I don't know, this word is gone these days. Too strong is dazzle, like very strong, very prominent. So sometimes too much of light can hamper our eyes. So the strobe light should not be such that, or the anti-core light should not be such that it just causes a harmful dazzle on the eye. Extreme bright से हमें problem होती है, right? वो नहीं होना चाहिए. So these are all little rules that you will get in your MCQs, and it will become very difficult for you to mark the correct answer. What happens if I have a problem to my performance because of your strobe lights? If we are two aircraft sitting next to each other, can I ask you to turn off the lights? Can I ask you to reduce the intensity of the lights? Yes. You might be allowed to turn off your lights or reduce the intensity of your lights if they are adversely affecting the satisfactory performance of the duties, or if they are causing an observer outside the aircraft, causing a harmful dazzle. So in your RT situations, you must have seen runway edge lights are dim or runway edge lights are too bright. What to do? Reduce intensity. Why? Because they're causing harmful dazzle. Now, people who are driving, you all know upper dipper used when you have cars coming from the opposite direction with divider, without divider. It becomes very difficult for you to see the road and turns for a short span of time. So you give them a dipper, that अरे dipper use कर लो, कि आप dipper use करोगे तो हमें harmful dazzle नहीं होगा. So they are reducing the angle. गुरप्रीत समझ रहे हो, वहाँ angles होते हैं upper dipper में, intensity होती है. तो exactly वैसा ही कुछ है यहाँ पे. In that cases, you can play around with the intensity or turning off the lights. Now there are 2 points about simulated instrument flights. You're simulating on a simulator and instrument flight. Okay. You should not give a simulated instrument flight condition. Now, what is a simulated instrument flight? Generally, this is not on a simulation. You will be taught instrument flying, where a normal aircraft that is not fit for instrument flying, that aircraft during daytime, the cockpit windows will be blocked. You will not be allowed to see anything outside. So they will do masking of that. That is called simulated instrument flight. So they are, in this case, in rules of the air, they are saying you should not carry out a simulated instrument flight unless you have full functioning dual controls on the aircraft. There should be two people being able to control the aircraft, two control areas, full functioning, two control columns. And a qualified pilot will occupy the control seat to act as a safety pilot for the student pilot, but the student word will not come into picture in regs, for the person who is flying under simulated instrument conditions. Now the pilot who's on the other side, your instructor in this case is generally, but here they're not using the word instructor, but where you'll be facing, this person should have visibility outside, but the person undergoing should not have visibility outside. And this pilot will be called a safety pilot, and this pilot should be in touch with people outside who will be guiding them about safe protection of the aircraft. So that is also important. That is simulated instrument flight. फिर से मैं बता रहा हूँ, नॉर्मल सेस्ना को आपके डे टाइम में बाहर से या अंदर से सारे ग्लास विंडोज को मास्क कर देंगे ओपेक पेपर से, ब्लैक, ब्लू, जो भी हो जिससे आप बाहर नहीं देख सकते हो, वो सिमुलेटेड इंस्ट्रूमेंट फ्लाइट होती है. You will be taught instrument flying like that probably. I'm hoping there are better ways to do it, but that is how it is being taught, like approved. So in that case, there should be a educated pilot on the side called a safety pilot. He or she should be able to see outside, and then they should be in touch with other people helping us on the outside. Now quickly talk about operation within the vicinity of an aerodrome and on the aerodrome. When the aircraft is operated on the aerodrome or in the vicinity of an aerodrome, whether it is a part of the aerodrome traffic zone or not, okay, whether they are in the zone or not, but they are operated on the aerodrome or in the vicinity of the aerodrome. What is the responsibility? Your responsibility is to observe traffic around you to avoid collision, to comply with the traffic patterns formed by other aircraft. Conform is the word you will see. Or avoid the pattern. If you're going to disrupt, then avoid. Or comply if you're required to comply. One important point for aircrafts in the vicinity is this point. Point number 3. Write down verbatim. An aircraft, I'm just giving you the starting points. You can write down page 23, refer in your notes so that when you read the text, you know where it is coming from. Don't write this point, just write the point that I'll say. I'm just saying the first part. An aircraft operated on or in the vicinity of an aerodrome shall, whether or not within an aerodrome traffic zone, make, ye likho, make all turns to the left when approaching for a landing and after takeoff, unless otherwise instructed. So this is why you will see most of the air traffic circuit patterns are left-hand circuits. Yesterday, the air traffic circuit, the last class, the air traffic circuit that we saw was a left hand. You see all turns are left. So you have to ensure this because it's a rule mentioned in the rules of the air. If not left, then if you're specified to take a right-hand circuit, then you can take it as per the ATC. It's okay. But otherwise, everything will be on the left. After departure, turn left. Now you know for your takeoff leg calls in your RT, anything goes on takeoff leg, why do you take left? It is the rule of the air. Why left? Because your takeoff paths, you'll be seeing somewhere, I think a couple of diagrams are there for you to see in your regulations. That is also left only to avoid obstacle clearance, minimum obstacle clearance, MOC, MOCA. The next point in this point to do with aerodrome traffic or aircrafts within aerodrome traffic is these aircrafts that are within on the aerodrome or in the aerodrome traffic in and around, they should land and take off into the wind. Write down. Next point. Land and take off into the wind. Matlab, wind should always be head on to you while landing or take off. That is into the wind. Wind is coming from here, then land here. If wind is coming from here, then land like this. Wind is coming from here, take off like this. Wind is coming from here, take off like this. you should choose that. If ATC or runway or some other requirements make it for you to follow some other procedure, then you follow that. Otherwise, always into the wind. 85 to 95 on a daily basis is always into the wind only by default. So the rare cases are subject to the airport conditions then. Any questions so far? 2-3 more points and we are done with this. I know must be hungry waiting for break. Let's finish this, then go for break. Okay. Collisions, very important. One of the most important aspects of your general rules. इससे ज़्यादा important कुछ नहीं है general rules में. Right of way and everything. Any questions? It's very simple now. If an aerodrome traffic control tower, if tower is in operation and active on an aerodrome, then it's the pilot in command's responsibility. One more responsibility. What is that responsibility? To maintain a continuous listening watch on appropriate radio frequencies of tower, unless you have been asked to go to another ATC. And if you cannot listen on radio frequencies, then you should keep a watch that could be given to you through visual signals. What are visual signals? You'll be seeing in the appendix to rules of the air. The next responsibility of the PIC is that prior to making any maneuver associated with taxi, landing, or takeoff, you need to request for authorization or permission by a traffic controller, either through radio or through visual signals. Visual signals, again, you will see in the appendix. Radio, RT, almost everybody knows how to take it. Mumbai Tower, Air India 123, request, pushback, and startup. That's how you'll do it on radio if you're on ground for pushback and startup. Any questions? Are you following? I cannot read your faces, so I don't know.
Following.
नुकुल, तुम नहीं बता रहे हो, बाकी सबने मेरे को रिएक्शंस दे दिया.
Affirm, sir.
वेरी गुड. चलो, आज का रीडिंग टास्क लिखो. पेज नंबर 24 of the rules of the air PDF. Point number 3.2.5, water operations. There are aircrafts that operate on water aerodromes, seaplanes. उनके क्या rules हैं? Simple ऐसा. Read that much and do a thorough revision from what you have done from the first class of rules of the air till now. Please don't be the way we were in the start of the session. That 1 hour we could cover IFR, VFR, both probably. I'm not worried about it because for me, your growth is the most important factor. But then, आपको समझे ना समझे, I would be compelled to start tomorrow because tomorrow will be the third session of the same topic. Third level पे होंगे हम. So अच्छे से revise करके रखो. I would want to go a little fast and I would want to go a little more length. I might give you a couple of breaks in between, not just one. So be ready with the mindset that tomorrow from 11 onwards, we could stretch up to 3 or 4 or maybe 5. But I'll give you good breaks. If you'll have any commitments, let me know beforehand only. But attend. बाद में फिर रिकॉर्डिंग आपको खुद से 5-6 घंटा मुश्किल हो सकता है. मेरे को नहीं लगता मुश्किल होना चाहिए. आप 2-2 घंटे में उसको बांट सकते हो. बट टाइमली पढ़ो. ठीक है, टाइमली पढ़ो ताकि और टॉपिक्स हम अच्छे से कवर कर पाए. Rules of the air is interesting, can be lengthy if we are not in sync. Don't worry, एक बार समझ लो, फिर डेली बेसिस पे रीड और रिवाइज और मेमोराइज करने की ट्राई करो आप लोग. फ्लाइट प्लान्स, आप सोचोगे सर हर चीज में मुझे 3-3 घंटा लगना है, वो आपका काम नहीं है सोचना, आपका काम समझना है. यू डोंट वरी अबाउट द लेंथ. ओके, जस्ट मेक श्योर जितना कर रहे हो वो अब तक थरो हुआ है. वरी लेंथ से करने से फायदा नहीं होना है, और वो वरी करने से आपको शॉर्टकट में कुछ समझ भी नहीं आना है। और देयर इज नो शॉर्टकट टू सर्टेन थिंग्स। बस हाँ, अच्छे से यहाँ पढ़ लो तो आपको बाद में रिवीजन, मेमोराइज, वो सब में टाइम बचेगा, आपका बचने ही वाला है इवेंचुअली टाइम। तो डोंट थिंक इट एज इफ यहाँ कुछ टाइम आपका ज्यादा जा रहा है जो आपका वेस्ट हो रहा है। अगर इन चीजों को फॉलो कर लोगे ना तो ये सारा टाइम आपका कंपेंसेट हो जाएगा वहां बचने में फिर। ठीक है, ओके। एनी क्वेश्चंस बिफोर वी लीव? think. Students, for now I'll be seeing you at 4:15. Okay, so make sure you come join, study, prepare, and सिर्फ water operation दे रहा हूँ, and finish reading definitions. अब तुम्हारे ऊपर छोड़ रहा हूँ कितना रीड कर रहे हो. End of the day I need an update, and if you cannot read today, then tomorrow morning 10 to 11, 10 o'clock only you sit for class, 10 to 11 you revise, and 11 o'clock attend the lecture. But study and say that. अब इतना टाइम नहीं दे पा रहे हो तो 15 मिनट दे के बोलो तो 15 मिनट में जितना किया यहाँ तक किया है मैंने, कोई डाउट नहीं है, यहाँ तक किया डाउट है, बट शो द विलिंगनेस टू डू इट. ऑलराइट, एंड आई नो यू हैव द विल, just do it, just do it. And yes, we'll see more of rules of the air with respect to other general rules. Other general rules, couple of sections are a little lengthy, some of them are not lengthy now but in the appendix, so we'll be doing it both simultaneously. And if you want to see pictures, let me know. I'll keep some pictures ready for you to see. I don't want to share videos though in the class, but I'll share pictures with respect to lights or any other runway markings. If you want, let me know. Anything that will make you understand regulations in a much more better way, feel free to let me know. And what else? It's okay. And if you're getting extra time, then Nandini, if you have extra time, let me know. I have something for you to do extra. I'm talking only to Nandini. It's on the lines of RT. So let me know if you're getting extra time. That is where I would want you to study a few lectures. Okay, students, all good? If something is not right, drop me a feedback over text. Okay? Chalo. Thank you, and remember everything said. जो 1 घंटे का भाषण दिया है और बीच में 15 मिनट का लेक्चर दिया आपको, over and above rules of the air. Don't forget those things, please. बहुत काम आएगा आपको. एंड प्लस आपकी जो एक्सीलेंट स्किल्स है मेरे साथ शेयर करते रहा करो. ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको कुछ नहीं आता, मेरे को आता है. ऑफ कोर्स यू हैव सो मेनी थिंग्स. कीप शेयरिंग विद मी. आई आल्सो लाइक टू लर्न. एंड आई विल सी यू देन. टेक केयर एवरीवन. ज्यादा काम नहीं दे रहा हूँ क्योंकि कल का काम बचा है. अच्छे से करके आना है और डोंट डिसअपॉइंट इन द मॉर्निंग फॉर द फर्स्ट 15 मिनट्स. ओके, इट्स अ फ्राइडे, लेट्स मेक इट फन फ्राइडे. ऑलराइट, चलो स्टूडेंट्स, यू आर फ्री टू लीव. ऑलराइट, आई विल सी यू. टेक केयर.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir.